First question, David. Facile Vega. Do you keep the faith after Leopardstown, or do you think he's vulnerable now in the Supreme?
No, I keep the faith.
What happened at Leopardstown?
Paul gave my brain dead right.
Was that it? Was that just it?
Yeah, he went too fast. Sure, they went 7 furlong pace, like.
Yeah.
It was crazy. He was 6 seconds quicker than the handicap hurdle, 3.5 seconds quicker than the champion hurdle on the same day. Just done the damage early. Paul knew the game was up. He just gave up on him. He still actually finished ahead. He finished faster than actually Gallic Warrior did, time-wise, when you look at the 2 races upsides of the handicap. So he'll be all right.
He'll be all right.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry.
Jonny, you were a Facile Vega fan, and now you're not. You don't subscribe to the theory that David Casey has just described there. You don't think that was the reason Facile Vega ran the way he did?
No, I thought he ran bad. I did, and I know that you can say times and all that, but he did go fast in the race. But I didn't think High Definition had any trouble laying up at Facile Vega, and it looked like even very early in the race, you wouldn't like to be on Facile Vega. Like once High Definition departed, you'd say, yeah, he might probably win now, all right. But even before that, I just thought the stress things were on. And just the way he gave up. I know that the jockey probably did take it easy on him, but I would be very worried as going to Cheltenham on the back of a run like that. For me, I couldn't have him the next day anyway, not a hope.
What do you say to Jonny then there? Like he was a fan, now he's not. Do you think?
I'm sure there's plenty like him. Like, listen,
there
of course,
is, yeah.
it's a bad run. You'd prefer it didn't happen, but you know, I just see him at home. He was lame for a week after, in fairness, and he got a bad overreach in the race. But listen, he worked very well yesterday. Patrick actually rode him work yesterday. Was delighted with him. So I'd forgive any horse one bad run. We forgave Shishkin too. So
we did. We forgave and we forgot Shishkin. What is likely to run here from Clive Sutton?
Facile will run. I would imagine Impaired Pass will go to Ballymore. Elite Toms will run. The horse that won in Leopardstown. Gallic Warrior, I would say, will go to Ballymore. Hunter's Yarn could go to County. Diverge will definitely run. And In Excess could go here or to Ballymore. And Dark Raven the same, depending on owner. So we could have 4, maybe 5 in it.
And if David Casey was still riding and you were number 1 jockey with Willie, what would you ride?
Facile Vega.
Jonny, you're gone off Facile Vega, so what do you like in the race now?
I'm going to take a chance in High Definition that he might just maybe buck out, and I don't think anybody will want to go near him the next day, and he might just make the run if he's jumping held up. Look, he's a 12-1 chance. He'll either win or blow out. That's the way I look at him anyway, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's in the bar list there. I don't see his name, so he's obviously 16-1 bar.
Yeah, I'd say High Definition is probably too big a price now.
Really?
As well. Listen, Jonny was on about that he had no trouble laying up the last day. He's a 1.25 mile Group 1 horse in the flat, so he shouldn't have any trouble laying up.
Yeah.
Really, but I'd say he's too big a price.
Yeah, 16-1 High Definition. Peter Fahey, it's an open Supreme this year. It looked a complete closed book before the Dublin Racing Festival, but it's wide open now. What do you like in it?
Yeah, look at it. I don't think Facile Vega has much of a chance, to be honest with you. They're going even if they change tactics going back to Cheltenham, like he's never jumped a hurdle behind a horse, so I reckon he could go to Cheltenham and run way too keen. I think Barry Connell's horse, to be honest with you, Nationale, he was very good. Things didn't work out for him the last day when he won the Royal Bond, but I think he might pick of the rest.
David, before I leave you on Facile Vega, how do you think he's going to be ridden in the Supreme this time?
I'd say, I imagine he'll be handy away, and we'll see on the day what way the race pans out. But I imagine he won't be dropping out too far or anything like that. I wouldn't have thought anyway.
Do you think he'll lead over the first?
Possibly.
Okay.
It's possible. He'd be jumping out to get a position, and whether that's in front over the first or whatever, I don't know.
If he's still in front going to the second, I'd say they'd be going fairly slow.
Might be, yeah, well, I don't know. So. But a lot will depend on what's declared and what else happens, you know.
Absolutely. Robbie, do you think the race revolves around Facile Vega?
No, I don't. And I think the fact that Willie's going to run, as David says, probably run 4 or 5 in this race. If Willie's a really hot one, he doesn't do that. He divides them up and sends them different ways. So I think the fact that they're going to run...
in 40 the race, so...
I know, but I think the fact they're going to run 4 here, the confidence is... They still think Facile Vega is their best horse, and I think still think Paul Tyrone will ride him in it. I can't see him getting off him to ride Impere Pa, Elite Tomp, who he beat impressively at Christmas. But I agree with all the lads are saying. I think High Definition, not ideal going into the Supreme on your second run falling at the fourth hurdle or unseating at the fourth hurdle. But he has an each way chance, and he's probably overpriced. Of the Willie thing, I think probably Il Etetemp is better value to run his race. I think back in Facile Vega is dodgy at this stage.
Denis, as I said, it's 3-1 the field here with Facile Vega. Marine Nationale, obviously, you rode plenty of horses for Barry Connell over the years. Do you think he could have his first Cheltenham Festival winner here with Marine Nationale?
He could. Well, Michael O'Sullivan could, yeah. I suppose, as regarding a trainer, I suppose he could, yeah. As an owner,
obviously
he's a success, yeah.
Ridden by you, of course.
Listen, I'd agree with Peter. Things went against him in the Royal Bond on soft ground, and I think he's been much better horse on a bit of nice ground. And the only other horse I know by French Navy is a horse known me. He's won a couple of group races on the flat, and he was a very good horse on nice ground. So a kind of similar sort of horse, lots of class, and he's been very progressive. I'd be a little bit negative on Facile Vega. He's obviously a quality horse, but if he jumped the last or the second last in Leopardstown and he finished 5th, 3rd, 4th, getting tired, I would say then I'd blame the ride. But I thought he was beaten quite early in the race, and you know, I would be nervous at that now going into Cheltenham, and I actually fancy at a big price a horse called Dark Raven of Willie's for a bit of each way value, only for the fact that I rode a nice horse the other day in Gorham Park called Dr. Bravo, and he beat him in his maiden in Leopardstown. So that to me that'd be good each way value at a big price.
Excellent. That's Dark Raven for Denis O'Regan. Right, Tony Keenan, you have the casting vote in the Supreme. What wins?
I wouldn't have a strong opinion in David, to be honest. I'd be a little bit against
build you up there,
no,
and that's
I
what you
don't-
come
I just- I
back
don't.
with.
Maybe later on.
Unbelievable.
I'd be like the lads, bar David, I'd be against Facile Vega. I'd love Willie Mullins' horse coming into a novice hurdle with a string of ones in front of his name. I think they win a lot more often than they lose, but just to come back from that run the last day, it's a tight turnaround. I actually was kind of interested in the horse Dennis was talking about there, Dr. Bravo. I don't know, would he be sharp enough for the Supreme, but I think he has the ability. I thought he was the best horse in the Red Mills last week. Now, it mightn't have been much of a race because Sharjah wouldn't really handle the ground, but I think if he hadn't have been got to the front a wee bit. No, it was a steady pace, I'd say, as much as anything, and then clipping the second last. Now, he was only making his racecourse debut back in December there, Hatton's Grace meeting in a bumper, so there should be bags of improvement with him. Look, maybe he'd be too green to win a Supreme at this stage, but I think it's that type of year. It's a Lebec or a Somerville Boy or even an Abizayan year. Like they've urged there's another one could come out of the woods to run a race. I don't think there's a superstar in it. I'd chance something at a price rather than forgive maybe Facile Vega.
Okay, we go across the line then. If I forced you, and it sounds like I have to force you, if I forced you to have a bet in the Supreme, what would it be?
Dr. Bravo.
Dr. Bravo for Tony. Puppy?
Il Etetemp.
Letty Tom. Dennis?
Marine Nationale.
Peter? 2 votes for Marine Nationale. David?
Facile Vega.
And Johnny?
Yeah, high definition.
And high definition. So you're probably more confused now than you were when you came in.
El Fabiolo should win this. I think he's a class horse. He had everything the last day. He did the time, visuals, beat the right horses, proper gallop, all that type of stuff. Like to me, him and John Bond very similar over hurdles. They met in the entry, but El Fabiolo had everything wrong that day. Coming off just one run, hadn't run since Tremor a long time before that. Met trouble, coming to 3 out, hit the last a bit of an awkward jump, and sure, like the Leopardstown run to me was amazing. Now you'd always be a slight concern he might clip off one, like he did the 4th last in Leopardstown. But I think in terms of ability, he has more ability than John Bond. John Bond might be a little bit more of a now horse, but then everyone was saying John Bond had the big jumping edge. Like I thought John Bond shifting to the right the whole time in Warwick the last day, which is something I hadn't seen before. Didn't like to see that. I have a slight inkling suspicion there might be a wee bit of temperament with John Bond. More so looking at some of his novice hurdle runs, the race he won in preparation for Cheltenham last year, Weatherby. Didn't like his head carriage that day. So no, I think El Fabiolo, very solid favourite, and hopefully maybe a few of the patriotic punters over there might back John Bond in a bit and we get an even bigger price.
So 6-4 at the moment, El Fabiola. That's more than fair, yeah?
Yeah, no, happy enough 6-4, yeah.
There we go. We're up and running. A strong vote for El Fabiola from Tony Keenan. David Casey, are you going to give the crowd here even more reason to back El Fabiola at 6-4?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I think he was very unlucky not to beat John Bunn in the entry last year in the hurdle race, and I thought he put up a phenomenal performance in Leopardstown the last day, and I think he's definitely the horse to beat. I have huge respect for John Bunn. I do agree actually with what Nicky said earlier. I think the horse has just had 2 counters around. He was asleep, and I think the race will have done him the world of good. But I think John Bunn should have beat him, or El Fabiola should have beat him in entry last year. I think he's a better horse, and I think that's the way it'll come out.
Right, we're going well. We have 2 very confident votes for El Fabiolo. Is Jonny Dineen going to make it 3?
Yeah, I am actually. I think El Fabiola will win. Look, it was very impressive, as Tony said, in Leopardstown. Real impressive. Like, put away a good field. And I didn't like John Bunn the last day. To me, it was a 50-50 going into Warwick. I wouldn't have it a 50-50 anymore after that anyway. I thought John Bunn ran bad in Warwick anyway, to be honest. And it was a year getting after Calico after your men passed him. I know you're saying they kind of surprised him and all that, but I thought it was a lackluster attempt. And the one fear I have for El Fabiola is maybe hit the fence. And the second last fence at this place is lethal. It's worse than it ever was. Like, they moved it from a place where the horses used to fall. It's worse now than ever in my eyes, because horses are really ratty in the Arkle, as you can imagine, coming around the bend. And suddenly there's a fence there. If he manages to jump around El Fabiola, he'd slaughter John Bunn in my eyes anyway now.
Oh, there we go. The first big word of the night: slaughter. El Fabiolo will slaughter John Bunn, according to Jonny Dineen. So we're going well now. We have 3 confident votes for El Fabiolo. Peter, are you going to make a 4?
No, I predict
Jesus.
I actually...
The black sheep of the family.
Dysart Dynamo, I think. It's a furlong shorter. He's loads of pace. And the one thing you're saying about El Fabiolo's jumping, I think he's rapid to jump. When you go to Cheltenham, you have 2 more fences as well. Dropping back a furlong, the way he travelled, I think he went very quick in Leopardstown. I know El Fabiola done a good time at the end of it all, but in fairness, I think Dysart Dynamo dropping back to the 2 mile around Cheltenham, a sharper track as well. I think he'll put it up to both him and John Bunn.
Now, you've had a good look at these, obviously. You train Visionarian. Visionarian likely to turn up here?
No, Visionarian, I don't think he'll run, no.
No, he won't go, but he's a pretty top-class novice, and you've bumped into a few of these. So do you think they're a good crop of Irish novices?
I'd say they're the best crop that we've seen in a long time, to be honest with you. The times of the races even shows it was quicker than the open race the following day. I think it was 11 or 12 seconds quicker than the handicap that day. But no, I think the novices this year, specifically in Willie's yard, are top class. Okay,
so it's Dysart Dynamo for Peter Fahey at 9-2 at the moment. Denis?
Yeah, I'm El Fabiolo as well. I think Willie could have a 1-2-3 here actually. El Fabiolo.
He's a very brave now when Nicky is gone.
Yeah, but I like St. Roy as well. You know,
do you?
Yeah, he's going to be hunted around. We don't know. I think he unseated or fell there the last day, and like I say, he beat Visionarian in the Arkle Christmas, and I thought that was a good performance enough. And I think he's a former county winner, loads of class, and he'll be ridden to drop into some pace in this now. Banbridge, hopefully Dynamo, if he got a slightly more conservative ride, I think he'd be in the first 3. He's a top class horse as well, so I think Willie could have the first 3. And I think there is question marks over John Bunn's. Maybe it's the stallion, I don't know, but there is question marks over his temperament.
So you're 1-2-3 from Willie Stabler, El Fabiolo 1, Dysart Dynamo 2, and
I think he's the best
3.
novice in the country, in between England and Ireland. Yeah.
El Fabiolo.
Yeah.
Brilliant
Fabiola,
stuff.
yeah.
Robbie, not a lot of love for John Bunn here. Are you going to give him a little bit of a peck on the cheek?
No. Other race people talking about we'll come to later on. Gordon's horse in the Turners. People saying about his bad run last year in Cheltenham. John Bunn ran a stinker in Cheltenham last year. He was beaten half the track. So I don't see how he's going to come back this year and win an Arkle. He meets a very, very good horse in El Fabiolo. We touched on his jumping earlier on. The one thing I think he'll have learned an awful lot from Leopardstown, and he knows how to survive, because he made 2 very bad mistakes where he could have very easily come down if he was soft. He's not. I think he's a very, very good horse, and he'll be hard to beat. Dysart Dynamo would have a chance if the ground came up very, very soft, which is probably a 100-to-1 chance. So for me, El Fabiolo, I think, is a safe enough, as safe as the bet as you get in the novice chase anyway.
Brilliant. So it's 5-1. 5 votes for El Fabiolo, and Peter is out on his own with Dysart Dynamo. So 6-4 El Fabiolo and 9-2 Dysart Dynamo. That is your Sporting Life Arkle.
I just struggle to find a flaw in Constitution Hill. He can do it from the front, he can do it from behind. He's pace, he has stamina, he jumps brilliant. So it's hard to find an angle to attack a match, that kind of way. So at the moment, I think it'll be difficult. We'll do our best, but I think it'll be difficult to beat him.
If there was no Constitution Hill in the race, would you be pretty sure that Stateman is the best of Willies?
Yes, definitely, yeah.
Definitely?
Yeah.
Okay. You're not a Vauban fan?
I think he's a very good horse, but he's not good enough to beat Stateman.
Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. Constitution Hill wins, Stateman finish second?
I find it, as I say, I can't find a flaw in him, so he has to turn up on the day. Listen, some horses don't, but at the moment, I find it very difficult to go and beat him.
What do you do? Do you sit in front of him? Do you sit behind him? Tactics are going to be interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't matter really, does it, at the moment? It doesn't seem to anyway, so I don't know. That'll be, listen, I'll let Paul worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to be an interesting race. Jonny, I know you're a huge Stateman fan as well, but you're a bit like David, I think. Constitution Hill is going to be very hard to beat, isn't he?
Yeah, look, he's an obvious favourite and he's an obvious winner. You couldn't see any fault in him, is right. I fancy Stateman be second. Yeah, he'd win the Champion Hurdle in them nine times out of 10. And I'd like to move it to finish in front of Vauban. That's the way I might bet the race.
Well, Jonny, we'll be having a match bet on that, let me tell you.
Okay. Well, if you want, I'll face you. I fancy, I think I like to move it. It's quite a decent horse. And I think Vauban's slightly overrated myself. I don't really rate him.
Yeah. So Constitution Hill is 2-7. What's the chances of you back in Constitution Hill at 2-7?
Very, very, very little. No. I look at 2-7. You need. Yeah, look, you need to be betting at 7-2 on chance, but there's no try in a race. You know what I mean? Not in the Champion Hurdle anyway. You know what I mean? So, like you see the like of Duvan and Deffy Desai and these kind of horses, they get beat at these odds for some reason. Like not every horse turns up, and that's what you're betting on really if he would turn up. So look, he will win, like assuming that nothing goes wrong with him. But I won't be backing him at the same time.
Is the bet in the race for you at the prices I like to move it each way 20-1?
No, I wouldn't back him each way. I'd be looking for a match bet against Vauban maybe.
Okay, well we'll have a chat about that later. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. There we go. That is I like to move it. Who Jonny Dineen thinks will run a big race. Peter, I'm sure like everybody else, you're a huge Constitution Hill fan. In a word, do you think he'll win? Yes.
Yeah, I think he's certainly. Yeah.
A certainty. Anything else at bigger prices that you think could fill the frame?
I was just saying to Dave there, I think if Echoes and Rain ran, I think she could be third. She's loads of speed. Whether she goes to the mares or not, I don't know. But out of the rest of them, I think she's the best of the rest.
Denis, Stateman obviously was very good in the Irish Champion Hurdle, was brilliant in the Matheson. He's won the Morgiana. What sort of a chance would you give him against Constitution Hill?
It's very difficult to say really. Constitution Hill again he looks very good, but the type of horse required for Champion Hurl is one of just huge stamina and class. And Stateman has he's got everything, all the credentials as well. I have to say, even rode in the race in Leopardstown there, and he was absolutely class as well. And his county win last year was absolutely brilliant. He just looks. It's just Constitution Hill, like David said there. Everything is. He looks like Istabrack, doesn't he? So and I think at a price, maybe Echoes of Rain, I suppose, dropped out. She looked very good in Ace, but I suppose Epitante would also have a squeak for each way if she ran it now as well. So that's Nicky didn't rule that out earlier. I was listening. So yeah, it's hard. Each way value is where you'd be looking at.
Excellent. Before we come to the lads at the end of the line, does anybody here in the auditorium fancy Stateman? Vauban. We have one Vauban man. You might get another match bet, Jonny. But not one single person here fancy Stateman. That's unbelievable, Robbie, isn't it? Like for a horse as good as Stateman, that just shows you how good Constitution Hill is.
Yeah, look, we could be looking at one of the greats, but he's got to go and do it. 2 wins this season would be very, very impressive. But he has to turn up on the day and deliver, and I think he will. I'd be amazed if he doesn't. I actually think Vauban has a good chance of being second. Because
so do I.
Not on ability wise, but at some stage, and Paul Townend and Willie Mullins are not going to ride to finish second in the Champion Hurdle. They're going to ride to win it, which will mean at some stage getting down and dirty with Constitution Hill, and that could just take the edge off Stateman, which means a horse like Vauban, ridden more conservative, could come through and finish second. I'd do a forecast Constitution Hill to beat Vauban.
Tony, have you anything interesting to add to this argument?
No, just
right. Moving on to the mares.
Just one thing I'd say about Constitution Hill. How many times is he going to produce a performance? like he did in Newcastle. There's only still think as a young horse, he'll probably win 20 lengths. I'd agree with Johnny with that same 1, 2, 3. But the look of him, he doesn't look like a horse that's going to have longevity.
Why?
He's too impressive.
But do you not think
if someone said to me, Stateman was still winning Irish champion hurdles in 3 years' time, I'd say, yeah, because he's keeping a bit back for himself. It's like Allaho and Punchestown last year. When they're that impressive, it takes so much. He looks like he'd run through a wall for you. But you can only run through the wall so many times.
But sure, is that not like
You should see
saying
him
you're
on the
going to
gallops at home.
Are you
He's lazier than David Jennings.
Is he lazy yoke? Yeah.
Are you your local nightclub would be what? The Fiddlers, was it? What was your
It's a long time I was going to nightclubs now.
What was your local nightclub? What was it? What would it have been?
I'm trying to think now.
What's the local nightclub here? The what? Well, whatever that was he pronounced, but I'm just saying, right? Is that, hold on,
he
I get
sounded
to my point,
perfectly
I
clear
get to
to
my
me
point,
anyway,
hold
I
on.
don't know
Is that
about you.
not like walking into whatever that nightclub is called there and seeing Beyonce and saying, Jays, you're too good looking? No, I'm not going to kiss you, you're too good looking, no.
You'd wanted me to say something interesting. That's as interesting as I can get.
Too impressive. There we go. Too impressive. So you don't think he's going to win 3 or 4 in a row? No.
No, I don't. I don't think he's the type of horse with longevity.
Okay. And you think I Like to Move It could finish third?
I do, yeah. I think he's unbeaten on that old course now. Seems to suit him well. I'd say a bit slower ground than Wincanton. He was very good in Wincanton. I suppose if Stateman gets into a battle with your man from 3 out, which is very possible, there could be pieces to be picked up.
Okay, there we go. That is your champion hurdle verdict. It's going to be interesting. Any race that has Constitution Hill in it is obviously interesting, and it's going to be a corker. Tony Keenan, we're going to stick with you here, okay? Because this is the honeysuckle conundrum. Is she finished?
I wouldn't like a mare now that starts going backwards. I think she went backwards from the Hatton's Grace to Leopardstown, whereas traditionally she would have been going forwards, and I'd say she's a fairly bad favourite. The other one I wouldn't like in it is Harry Fry's horse, Love Envy. I'd say that race, the down run last year, was a fairly poor imitation of it. Dino Blue didn't turn up. Brandy Love didn't make the race. I'd say she was racing the right part of the track to the near side. She might want slow ground as well. I would like Mary's Rock, if I was sure she was going for it. I think if she may or may not run with the sounds of Nicky Henderson there, she'd be very solid each way. If she were to run, I'd be interested in David's take on Brandy Love the last day. I thought it was okay, but tight turnaround. And the one I liked was the one the lads were talking about there for the champion hurdle. I thought Echoes and Rain has looked a different mare this year since the hood come off. She improved a hell of a lot on the flat, running second in Iris Cesarewicz, giving chunks away to a progressive 3-year-old. Very keen in the Hatton's Grace, but I'm not sure she was totally done with. Very good in Nace the last day. I'd kind of prefer Paul Townend was on her than Patrick, to be honest, because I think she settles better for him. But I think she definitely has a life. She ran quite well in it last year, but I think she's much improved this year, though she's not certain to turn up.
She probably is, David, is she?
At the moment, she is. The only way it would change is there might be very few runners in the champion hurdle.
Yeah.
And if there was 4 declared, there's a small chance you might turn around and say, listen, she could be third or whatever, you're not going to it. So,
okay, what did you make of Brandy Love at Punchestown?
I thought she ran very well. I was really happy with her run. I think there's huge improvement in her.
The vibes were very negative beforehand.
Yeah, we needed to get her into her. She was very late coming back to us. And it's the wrong way around for her, but she done most things right. She only jumped left at the last, I thought. But I think there's huge improvement in her. But I do think it's probably the most competitive race on the card. I'd have huge respect for if Mary's Rock turns up. I think she'd take a lot of beating in the race. I thought she was very good last year. And Echoes, she was fourth in it. I think she was fourth in it last year. I think she's a better mare now than she was then. So I definitely wouldn't rule her out. But I think it's a very open race.
Who do you think Paul will ride?
Ooh. I'd nearly say, and I don't know, but I'm nearly going to say he'd ride Brandy Love.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess. But it's only a guess at this stage.
You'd ride Brandy Love yourself?
I'm not sure which one I'd ride now. I might ride the other mare. She might be more straightforward to Echoes, she's more experienced, and the other mare's only had 2 runs last year, so.
Just to get that on the record, David Casey said he wouldn't ride Brandy Love. Jonny Dineen, you say it as it is with Honeysuckle. and you give her absolutely no chance here.
No, I don't fancy Honeysuckle at all. It's the worst price of the meeting, but bar none. That's roughly 5-2. Could even be less, actually, because it seems to be a horse that public back.
A very generous Boyle Sports. A nice big offer there, 5-2.
Yeah, I could see it being less than 5-2, but I can't have her on my mind. I give her no chance, none whatsoever. I fancy Marie's Rock a great chance in this race. I can't believe they're even contemplating going for 3 mile. Why would you go for 3 mile when they won the race last year? There's no guarantee it'll even stay 3 mile, and it's in against geldings and everything. I don't see the point in doing that. But if they do go that way, so that's not to do with me. But I'd go Mary's Rock. I fancy Mary's Rock quite strongly here, and I'll definitely be against Honeysuckle.
Will you lay Honeysuckle?
Oh, definitely till the cows come home. Yeah.
Cows haven't come home yet, have they?
And I hope they won't come home that day either.
There you go, Marie's Rock for Johnny, and he's going to be laying Honeysuckle. Puppy, are we too quick to write off Honeysuckle? Because she hasn't, it's a bit like Shishkin really, like she hasn't absolutely completely fallen off a cliff. She's only ran 2 races where she's been beaten. Would you give her the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah, absolutely. Like she was second to State Man, the up-and-coming horse, the younger horse, the quicker horse. She's maybe not as quick as she was. The ground got very soft in the Hatton's Grace, and she got outstayed by 2 very good stayers. Teep, who was favoured for the stayers hurdle, and Classical Dream won a stayers hurdle. So the form is okay. You know, you can't say she hasn't fallen off the side of a cliff. I think if the ground is good, she'll take plenty of beating. She's unbeaten around Cheltenham. She's won this race before. I think she's in a different league to the likes of Maria's Rock. And the cows might be coming home, but Johnny might be going home.
He's a big tank. He's all right. Peter, where do you stand with Honeysuckle?
Yeah, I agree with Puppy. I think Honeysuckle, like, she deserves. Here, at the heart, I'd say I'd love to see her win. I'd love to see her go out on a winning note. Look at, if she was in the champion hurdle, we'd be saying she could be third in it. I was saying Echoes and Rain. I do think Echoes and Rain, if she ran in it, I think she could beat Honeysuckle. But I wouldn't be anyway negative on Honeysuckle. Look at, I think it's between Honeysuckle and Echoes and Rain in my call.
Right, Dennis, if I was your agent here and I rang you up and I said, Dennis, we've a free shot here. You can ride anything you want in the Mayor's Hurdle. Who would you pick?
Well, to be honest, last year I really fancied Queen's Brook for it, and she just got touched off by Mary's Rock, so I'd have to go with Mary's Rock again. And I thought Queen's Brook was even more impressive in the race in Punchestown the other day, in which I was second on last year. And so I would say it'll be Mary's Rock, and Queen's Brook is I think is nailed on for a place in this anyway, at least a place. And I was very impressed with Brandy Love the other day. I was beside her through the race, and I thought she showed a great element of class through the race. And the track in Punchestown the other day was very sharp, so right on the inside track. So you'd no chance, unless you were making the run on the inside the other day, you couldn't win. So
it's probably the track I hate most in Irish
absolutely,
racing. The inside track at Punchestown.
Horrible. Well, funny enough, Willie, one of Willie's beat me on Queen's Brook last year in the same race.
Burning Victory, yeah.
Yeah, and listen, it's a front runner's track, and it really suited Queen's Brook to be in front of Brandy Love. You could see her the other day. They were obviously first run back, hood on, all the rest, and she was quite keen through the race, and she jumped slightly left. And look, I just thought she showed a great turn of foot. Brandy Love from the turn in down over the last, even with a quality mare like that, Queen's Brook gone. And I just thought she actually ran quite well as well, Brandy Love. So I could see Mary's Rock, Queen's Brook, and Brandy Love 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. Honeysuckle, it's not a negative on her, but I did ride against her there in the champion hurdle there at Leopardstown, and I was upside her as she actually stumbled on landing at one of the hurdles down the back. That is the first sign I've ever seen her do that, and I thought that was the first time I said to myself, "No, she's lost a lot. She doesn't have the same legs." And you need a quality mare for this as well. And whereas I'm like Peter, I'd love to see her win. I think her best days are behind her.
Okay, so let's go across the line then. Tony Keenan.
Echoes and Rain.
Puppy.
Honeysuckle.
Dennis.
Mary's Rock.
Peter.
Honeysuckle.
David.
One of Willie's each way.
And Johnny.
Yeah, Marie's Rock, definitely, yeah.
And Marie's Rock for Johnny. That is the Mayor's Hurdle.
I'd be very keen on Barry Connell's horse here, Good Land.
Good land.
I thought he was the most impressive maiden hurdle winner nearly of the season in Leopardstown at Christmas. As soon as he let him down, away he went. Good horses in behind him that day, Search for Glory, Embassy Gardens. And I thought stepping up to 2-6 at Dublin Racing Festival didn't really suit him. I thought he was the wrong side of Keenan the whole way around, and he just about lasted home. The other two horses that raced up with the pacer were beaten out the gate. I think come back furlong, triple suit him, jumps very well. Bit of a now horse, I'd say. I don't know if he's the kind of horse that's going to progress with time. He's 7 already. But no, I'd be very keen on him now in the Ballymore.
Jeez, you're writing off horses left, right and centre here. This
Who do
time
I-
next year,
who do I write
Constitution Hill is gone, Good Land is gone.
Well, I don't care about whatever about Constitution Hill. I care a lot about Good Land this year.
Okay, so Good Land for Tony Keenan at 5-1 in the Ballymore. Rob, this is a real open race. A lot of the novice hurdles this year are open. Have you a strong opinion on it?
Yeah, I agree. It is wide open. I think Gaelic Warrior stepping up in trip is very, very interesting. Good Land, I agree, was very good at Christmas and again at the Dublin Racing Festival. I think he's got a big chance, especially on good ground. I like In the Pocket. He'll probably run in this. Grade 2 winner over 2.5. He'll be ridden not to get there too soon. I think he's overpriced at 12-1. He was good second to Let's Tomp at the Dublin Racing Festival over 2 mile, which is way too sharp for him. And I think stepping up in trip at 12-1, he's great each way value. I can't see him in the first 3.
He did very well to win the Navan novice hurdle at Naas, which is actually right. It sounds like it's a misprint, but it's not. The Navan novice hurdle was run at Naas this year. He did well to win it that day, didn't he?
He was handed to him on
he
a plate.
didn't. He should have won very
What?
easily.
It was handed to him on a plate.
Really?
Sure, Jesus, the other car should have won 3-card brag.
Okay.
She opened it up like the Red Sea for him.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have taken the gap when it was there. He should have waited a bit longer.
He should have fucking opened the gap. He should have put her out to the rail.
What did Rachel say after
Should
she
have
came
been
in
dead
on
and
that
buried.
day?
She said she was sorry.
I'd say that.
No, I think
does he work like a good horse in
He
the pocket?
does. He shows plenty of pace. 2 mile is way too sharp for him, and I think stepping up in trip, this was really suit him. He'll be a good gallop on. He'll settle away. And I just think at the price at 12-1, he's overpriced. I think he's a great each way bet.
And I know another man who thinks he's overpriced. Jonny Dineen. You're a big fan of In the Pocket.
Yeah, I fancy In the Pocket here. I think it's a good chance. Yeah, it is an open race. It is an open race. No question doubt about it. You could pick any one of 4 or 5, but I think 3-card brag is a really good horse. And anything
That was 3 reallys.
Yeah, I think
It
he's
must
a
be very
top
good.
horse. I think 3-card brag and the ground was soft that day and age. I think on soft ground, 3-card brag is nigh on unbeatable, and your man was able to take him out. So I definitely think he has a chance. And back at the trip here, I think he's a big runner. I'm not that keen on Imperial Pass myself. I don't know. There's something about that horse. He's beaten absolutely zero. He's very sharp price anyway. And he'd probably go off favourite even once Paul Townend probably picks him. And Gaelic Warrior, to me, any horse that'll shift right at hurdles here, and it's going to lose. It's certainly to lose 3 or 4 lanes going round, and he's surely not that much better than the rest of the opposition. Good Land is a good chance, all right, definitely, yeah, definitely. But I look, it's an open race, but I'll go with In the Know, or In the Pocket, I should say.
In the pocket.
Yeah.
Dennis, it's
Yeah,
it's an interesting race. Obviously, Willie has got plenty of cards here with Gaelic Warrior and Imperial Pass. Champ Kiley is another one as well. Could this go to Clive Sutton, do you think?
I'm a huge fan of Champ Kiley, actually. I thought he was. Now, he got a brilliant ride in the Lawlers, but he's a very good horse. And I would give him a huge chance here, Champ Kiley. The race in Naas, In the Pocket is a good horse, and 3-card brag is a good horse. He's not furnished yet. He's not quite there, but I do fancy him maybe for the Albert Bartlett if he went there. And the horse that was third in that same race is Absolute Notions, who finished second in a Grade 1 at Dublin Racing Festival. But that was a good race. Now a good line of form. But Barry Collins' horse impressed me in Leopardstown. I have to say, Good Land. If you nailed me down to ride one, I'd say I'd probably ride him because he's very uncomplicated. He could have got Keen. I thought Michael gave him a good ride. He was calm on him. He could have got Keen, and he's not going to have. I know I went with Marine Nationale, but he hasn't run since the Royal Bond. That would frighten me a small bit. But the fact that this Good Land ran at the Dublin Racing Festival, so he won't. At least it's not too far from Cheltenham Festival. I'd probably give him a great chance, Good Land. And he looked top class material to me now.
So you'd have Good Land ahead of Marine Nationale as regards Barry's 2 horses.
Yeah, and I'd
Yeah.
have Sham Kiley in there for a place in this as well.
Excellent. Peter,
Yeah.
what do you like in the Ballymore?
Yeah, Imperial Pass, I suppose you could pick plenty of holes in his form. He just beat Noel's mare, which wouldn't be one of the top fillies around. And then I think Goodland is very good. As everyone's saying, he ran plenty keen in Leopardstown. I think the drop back and trip and the sharper track where you're sure they're going to go good gallop, I think it'll all play to his favour. He's a good jumper, and he actually says that well. I think he has a great chance, and he's a bit of a price too. He's a great each way bet even, but I actually think he could win it.
Excellent. There we go. David, right. We've a lot to get through here in a very short space of time, okay? Imperi Pass, Gaelic Warrior, and Champ Kiley are likely to be your 3 runners, is that right?
Yeah, at the moment they'd be 3 definites, I'd
Okay,
say, yeah.
right. I want you to rank them. Number 1 is?
I'm going to go with Impera Pass,
Number 2?
Gaelic Warrior.
And number 3, Champ
Champ
Kiley.
Kiley.
Okay. What is so good about Imperi Pass?
I think there's just huge potential there. I think you're only seeing half the horse of what he is. He won a 2 mile 3. Listen, it was the worst maiden hurdle ever run that he won. All he had to do was stand up to win. But I thought a good performance going back to 2 mile, which I didn't think would really suit. I think there's just so much under the bonnet. I think he can improve hugely again for the step up and trip. And the more racing he does, I think the better he's going to get.
He's a brilliant jumper as well.
A very good jumper, yeah. And as I say, he saves plenty for himself. I think there's just plenty there with him the whole time.
Okay, and just a line on the other 2, Gaelic Warrior,
Gaelic Warrior
has been there.
He wants to trip, but I'd be afraid he might run a little bit too keen. I know he's jumped left. He went around that high a good few times before he came, and he was straight. We've had his back looked at, and we've done a little job on it, so hopefully that'll sort that out. Champ Kiley's a very good horse, but again, just mightn't get it as easy on the front end all the way. And again, he might just do it a little bit too much. Be my worry about him. Hermes Allen, I thought he was absolutely no good. Even when he won in Cheltenham, I thought he was no good. He won the Challow after, whatever. So maybe he's better than I'm giving him credit for. I do like Goodland. I think he's a very good horse. I'm just afraid the horses that run in the 2 mile 6 race in Leopardstown, Dublin Festival weekend, I think they have an average record when they've gone to Cheltenham. I know Vanilla finished 10th in it one year and came out and won, but he wasn't competitive in the race. His race was over early, so he didn't have a hard race. I think it takes a lot out of them sometimes. And
Latest exhibition ran well in the Albert Bartlett after.
yeah, but did he win?
No.
Thanks.
No. He was second to Monkfish though.
Yeah. So that'd be my little concern about Goodland.
Okay, but you're a big fan of Imperi Pass.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and you think he definitely goes here?
I'd say unless something happens drastically to Facile Vega in the next 2 weeks, one will go one way, one will go the other.
Brilliant. We'll go across the line again. Johnny, your fancy in the Ballymore was?
In the pocket.
David is Imperi Pass. Peter?
Goodland each way.
Dennis?
Goodland.
Puppy?
In the pocket each way.
Good land.
Good land. There we go. Okay, an interesting Ballymore, and it's Hermes Allen for me, would you believe? And don't forget, it is money back all losers in the Ballymore with Boyle Sports. Check out the Boyle Sports app from March 1st for full details. So if you back the loser of the Ballymore, and hopefully you don't, you get your money back with Boyle Sports. That is the Ballymore. Denis O'Regan, I'm going to come to you here first. Shh. You obviously ride plenty of horses for Gordon Elliott. You are around the yard in Calentra. You know what they think of Jerry Calam. But what we want to know is, what do you think of Jerry Calam? Are you a big fan?
I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. Very sound, solid jumper. Jumps. He's very safe. Jumps very, very well. A real stayer. Just when you think you're getting to the bottom, he powers on again. He's a real top class novice. Very, very safe bet for Cheltenham. He'll jump, he'll travel, and he doesn't over race. And he just keeps on grinding, keeps on finding. You see him in Sandown over a trip, just a bit shorter side than ideal for him. And the way he attacked his fences, even when he made one slight mistake, he put down with Jordan there at one of the railways, and he was out over it. A lesser horse would have fallen. He's got bags of potential. He's unbeaten, and I don't think he's ever been beaten in Pint of Pints hurdles. I won a maiden on him in Downryle last year, and he didn't look the winner going to the second last, and he won by 20 lengths. You know, he's that type of horse. The only slight negative would be if Cheltenham got unbelievable dry, and the ground came up on the night on a good side. That would be my only negative on him. He would want it. The harder work, the better for him. And but you know, he's very straightforward. He'll pop out there in the first 2 or 3 as well. He's very uncomplicated ride. He's a very safe bet for me. And you know, he'd be a very good ride for a jockey, young jockey, or anyone riding him. He wouldn't be no way difficult at all. Just right away.
Solid favourite of 5 to 2.
Yeah, very solid now. I'd be very keen on him, but that's the only worry I would have. If the ground was on the dry side, came up a little bit on the good, too good for him, I wouldn't like that.
Jonny Dineen, you're straining your neck there looking at prices. 5 to 2, Jerry Calam. Lay or play?
Look, it all depends on the ground. I think he's massively ground dependent horse, Jerry Calam. I couldn't have him on good ground. On soft, the heavy ground, no betting. He win half the track. But the ground is massive to Jerry Calam. I just think he barely gets away with the ground. He only barely got away with it. Even last year, he won a hurdle race against
Ida's Boy
in Turles, and only fell in. But all his form on with a dig in the ground is excellent, and his brilliant jumper is safe conveyance, does everything right as Denis said. But I do think he's massively ground dependent, and on what I'd be expecting to be goodish ground and what's normal Cheltenham ground, I think he could struggle. Yeah.
Okay, so if it is normal, goodish Cheltenham ground, he's going to struggle. What's going to win?
I think it's an open race, to be honest. I haven't a strong opinion. Maybe Tyne Hill was chance because he's a horse with a bit of boot, even though he's a stayer. Where Jerry Calam is a real strong grinding horse, you know. But he's the man is a class grade 1 hurdle horse, Tyne Hill. But look, if the ground comes up, like if it happened to be on the Wednesday, that was Wednesday last year at Cheltenham, I fancy Jerry Calam win 100 yards. But will you get that ground is unlikely. So
would you prefer to back Jerry Calam at just say 5 to 4 on bottomless ground than 5 to 2 on good ground?
Of course you would, yeah, he would, of course. The chance of him getting bottomless ground is probably 10 to 1, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah, it was a hypothetical question, all right?
Yeah, I'm just saying. But I'd back him at 6 to 4 if I could cancel the bet.
Right,
okay. What I mean?
Yeah, I see where you're going with it. Okay, so it is Jerry Calam for Johnny if it is real soft ground, and maybe Tyne Hill if it's decent ground. David, Sir Gerhard, we haven't seen much of him this year. We've only seen him once actually this season. Willie is doing a bit of a switcheroo here. I thought he was definitely going to go for the Brown Advisory, and then the last interview I heard, he was kind of hemming and hawing. If you're giving him advice, where are you sending Sir Gerhard?
I was giving him advice. Jeez,
he does. Don't give me that. He listens to you. He does listen to you.
I'd say he'll run here, is my guess. I think he's got a big chance. I was really impressed with Jerry Calam in Sandown, so I was. I think he's a fair horse. But I do think Arkle would have a lot more speed than him. I think he's a pacey horse. Sir Gerhard, looking at the race, I didn't realise how bad a race it was. It's weak when you got out through it. The real whacker, I mean, I haven't seen him run out to tell me he's... Ruby tipping him to me like, Ruby, what's he on about? I mean, I don't know. Tyne Hill has a chance, but the rest, Ramillies, the Devil's Coach, man, Thunder Rock, Stage, they're not good enough, are they?
No, they're not. No.
So there's only 3 can win, like, really, looking at it. Jerry Calam, Mighty Potter won't run. Sir Gerhard, Galliard, I'm assuming he's going to go the other way because Patrick will get his way, and Tyne Hill are the only 3 can win that I can see. It's open enough. Listen, sure, I'll have to back my own horse, wouldn't I?
How is he working, Sir Gerhard?
Oh, he's working well, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
There's not a bother on him, yeah.
He looked me straight in the eye there, so that's a good sign. Sir Gerhard working well. 9 to 2 for the Brown Advisory. Sir Gerhard is the type of horse here, if it is, what do you think, Johnny? If he is definitely going here, he could be disputing favouritism with Jerry Calam on the day on decent ground, couldn't he?
Oh, in decent ground, definitely. Yeah. Sir Gerhard is a high class horse. What he did last year in the Ballymore, like Sir Gerhard on his day is a really top grade 1 horse. He won the bumper and he won 2 big races in Cheltenham already. Look, the one thing, he's no experience. He's only 1 run, and even in that run, like he kind of walked through a fence in a no race and going. You'd have to think there's going to be a mistake.
He did point now as well.
Yeah,
in was it?
I know, but like to walk through a fence when nothing in the race, you know what I mean? You're not under
he's a million fences.
Any kind of pressure, yeah, exactly. I'd be worried about.
But I think the mistake he made in Gorn, I think, was just the fact, like he was an absolute certainty. Willie just told him show jump around, and I think Paul was looking for the short one, and the steed just came. I think in a competitive race, I think he'd be fine, you know.
Yeah, well, if he is, he's a great chance.
He's dangerous, isn't he?
He's dangerous in any race he turns up in any race, yeah.
Absolutely. And the real whacker, Johnny, any chance?
Oh, none whatsoever, no. He'll make the running for about 2.5 miles. A great jumper, the real whacker, but he's lacking the class of it. Like every horse will nearly have to make mistakes or something for him to have any chance, I think, anyway. You know what I mean?
I knew the answer to that before I asked the question, so I was just looking for the reaction. Tony Keenan, any love for the real whacker here? What do you fancy?
Jesus, no. See the horse of Gordon Elliott that he beat in Cheltenham the first day, Indigo Breeze. Jesus Christ, he's absolutely run over Dublin Racing Festival, beat after 3 fences. Mon Moral there, second to him, the Dipper. Not at all. This would be a very un-Willie Mullins-like thing to do in a run in Sir Gerhard and this. David, I don't think he ever ran a horse in a Cheltenham Novice chase that only had 1 chase run. I think
Tony likes his stats.
I love an
now,
out stat.
Yeah.
I thought that was it would be unusual, and the type of horse that usually would win this would be a hardened horse. And I was kind of hoping Gaillard de Mani might turn up here. I think he was toured in a far better run of it last year than this. I think this is woeful, actually. I think the National Hunt Chase might be a tougher race than this. I think to be coming third behind Le Homme Press and High Seigneur with Capadano up your arse and fourth is fairly strong form. And he's a grade 1 horse, proven already. I'm kind of hoping he'll go here. I've backed him for it. I think he'd be the one to beat. I respect Jerry Colomb, but I would be with what Johnny's saying there. He'd want a nice cut, and the forecast doesn't look great. The water already.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're a Gaillard de Manil fan if he runs here. Puppy, what do you like?
I think Jerry Colomb will win. I don't think he's as ground dependent as Johnny says he is. I think once it's on the slow side of good, he's all right. Stepping up to 3 miles is really going to see improvement in this horse. Strongly run race over 3 miles, you're going to see a huge improvement. If the ground is good and only good, he won't run. So non-runner, no bet. It'd be fairly straightforward. But once the ground is on the slow side of good, he'll be fine. If it's like the first day in Cheltenham last year, he won't run. Of the rest of them, I think the arse will fall out with Sir Gerhard when he sees the big white board in the ditch heading up from the top of the hill. He's no scope. I couldn't have more. I couldn't have more offences at all.
Can you see David Casey's face there? No.
No. He has absolutely zero scope, and a 3 mile chaser, that's not good enough. I think Tyne Hill is probably the safest bet outside that. But if the ground's on the slow side, Jerry Colomb wins and wins all day.
If we had a collection here, Peter, and we got about 500 grand together, which one of these would we buy to send to you?
I think Jerry Colomb's. I don't think Cheltenham will let the ground get too quick anyway. To be honest, they're watering it already, so they're very
The wind was blowing there. Yes, it was blowing the water off. It wasn't even going onto the track.
They'll stand back.
They were
put
watering the
pipes on
road
tomorrow.
yesterday.
They'll put the pipes further back. No, he'll win. I think. To be honest, he's rock solid. Dual Grade 1 winner. I think he's a very good horse, no matter what turns up in the rest or ground.
Okay, dokes, we go across the line. Tony, you're Gaillard de Manil.
Gaillard de Manil, yeah.
Rob.
Jerry Colomb.
Dennis.
Jerry Colomb, Gold Cup next year.
Gold Cup next year, lovely.
Jerry Colomb.
Yes, Sir Gerhard, assuming he runs.
Johnny.
Yeah, I'll go Tyne Hill small.
Yeah, we'll agree on that. I'm a Time Hill fan. That is your Brown Advisory Novices Chase. Right, Jonny Dineen. I don't know now whether you're sympathetic towards some horses when they run bad. Others you just say no, forget about them. So I don't really know where you stand on Energumene. Are you forgiving Energumene his run in the Clarence House Chase? Are you giving him another chance, or is he in the bin? Forget about him. Don't even look at him. He's gone.
He's not in the bin, but it wasn't a great effort at the same time. You must concede that, to be fair. Look, I think the races after opening up, really opening up in the last couple of months, as horses didn't know that you had no chance 2 months ago, and even some of the better ones have blotted their copybook a bit. Energumene has gone from odds on to 2-1 against, and the other one, Edward Stone, is jolly short and marginally. So, but you have horses like Editor de Gite, Gentleman de Me, and they're 2 guaranteed front runners now in the race, which wasn't really in the race earlier on. So the whole dynamic of the race has changed completely. Is there going to be a burn up for the lead? It's probably going to suit Edward Stone now, the way there's so many pacemakers in the race. I still favour Energumene, but I wouldn't be that confident now at the same time.
Okay, Tony, I think Edward Stone is a good thing. I think he's going to be extremely hard to beat here. I think Energumene has it all to do to turn around the form with him from the Clarence House. He was lame after the Clarence House. He had an easy few days, Edward Stone. Convince me otherwise, or please tell me that Edward Stone is going to win the champion chase.
No, I'd say you're dead on. I'd fancy the 2 English horses to be fighting this out. I do think Gary Moore's horse has a bit of a chance. He just seems to improve there out of nowhere. does things right. But as Johnny says, is Gentleman to Me now going to give him a little bit of a sickener up front? I thought two things about Edward Stone the last day. The break effectively didn't have a run at Christmas. We fell early, wasn't ideal, and I didn't think he got a great ride the last day. I thought the jockey, first of all, gave him too much to do probably, and then rushed him into it too quick. And I'd say the horse probably needed the race a bit. I'd love an Arkle winner now going back for a champion chase the following year. It just seems
brilliant record.
It just seems to be a thing. Whatever it is, the two races are quite similar.
Even Put the Kettle On managed to do it, like.
Yeah. To be fair, I never really did it anywhere else.
No.
Only Cheltenham under those conditions. So I think Edward Stone, I'd like a little bit bigger, but maybe I'll do something around forecast and Edward Stone and Edward Jeet.
Rob, Energamine obviously divides opinion here on the panel. We'll come to David in a minute. Are you going to give him the benefit of the doubt?
No, I don't think I could at that price. He won a very ordinary champion chase last year on very soft ground. We know how well he handles very soft ground as well. Goodish ground. I can't see him reversing the form with Edward Stone and Editor de Keith. I couldn't disagree with you more about Edward Stone. I thought he got a brilliant ride the last day. I thought he was nursed there. He got to the front halfway up the hill, and the other horse out-battled him. And I think Editor de Geet around Cheltenham is a different kettle of fish. He's obviously a better horse this season. And I think on good ground, he'll be hard to beat.
Really?
Obviously with the Gentleman to Me and them, but I can't see Gentleman to Me forcing him the whole way. I think he'll be happy to take a lead off him as well. He'll sit close to him, he'll happy to take a lead off him. Editor de Geet goes a really good gallop, and he doesn't give up. He's relentless.
Is he good enough to win a champion chase?
Well, he's beaten the favourite and the second favourite in his
but
last
there
start,
was-
so that proves he's good
Dad's
enough.
lad beat him in November. Jeez, and
That,
Yeah.
that's it. That proves he's good
Dad's
enough.
lad out now he wouldn't win.
Who?
Dad's lad beat him in a handicap in the
No,
November meeting.
I'm telling you, he's an improved horse. He beat them in
He
January.
hacked around the last day in front. It was a sprint.
No, but you go away. Stop.
So you're an Editor de Jeet
I
fan.
think Editor de Guy around Cheltenham, he loves a good ground. He has a big chance, yeah.
David, with Energamine, was it the white fences? Do you think that had an effect?
Do you really believe it was the white fences?
I don't know. I don't know what to believe. Why do you think he ran so poorly?
I think the race was run wrong. I think the position he was in all through the race didn't suit him at all. I thought the horse on his outside was jumping left. I thought he made a mistake at the first. And I don't think it was because of the white fence, but I think he did make a mistake, and I thought that set up the race for him. I think he would have improved hugely fitness-wise. I think he'd been working so easy at home. I think there's plenty of improvement fitness-wise. I think Editor de Geet has no chance. I do respect Edward Stone, but Blue Lord is very close to him last year in the Arkle, and unless he's improved hugely,
He wasn't that close to him now.
what was it, 3 lengths?
He was beaten more than that. No,
We'll check
he
it up
wasn't
and
even
see.
second, Blue Lord.
Anyway, Energy Mean put Blue Lord up on his back. Like Gentleman to Me is there, again, shouldn't be anywhere near good enough. He beat Edward Stone like an entry. He wouldn't be anywhere, he wouldn't be good enough.
End of a long season, though.
Sure, listen, whatever. It's the end of a long season now.
You think we'll see a different
I'm
Energamine?
sticking with Energy Mean anyway, yeah.
Okay. You seem pretty
I'm
confident.
keeping
there.
the faith.
Will he ride him the same way, or will he sit close to the pace this time?
Should decide on the day. I don't know. It'll depend on what happens, you know.
There's no way he'll be held on to, I'd say, the way he was the last day anyway.
Well, the last day, just your man hacked in front. He missed the first. But if he misses the first in this race, again, he might be in the same place. Who knows, you know? So a lot will depend on what happens down over the first fence.
Yeah, but do you think he's still every bit as good as he was when
I
he won the
I
race
do,
last
yeah,
year?
yeah.
Peter, what do you like in the champion chase?
Sure, look, you'd have to agree with Dave. I think he knows all about
You
it.
don't
and
have to, no. You can
I
have your
would.
own opinion.
Well, he's convinced me anyway, to be honest with you. Any doubts I had about Energamine, I definitely have turned. The last run, you can always forgive him one run. Yeah, the race, as Dave said, they didn't go over quick, and the mistake he made, and everything went wrong the whole way through. Look, I think he's a class above what's in that race, to be honest.
Okay, that's Energamine and Dennis.
Yeah, when I watched it, when Energy Me made a mistake at the last, actually, he didn't get involved in the race. Then in the heat of the battle of the race, and to be honest, you could see that the way he was jumping through the race, he couldn't actually lengthen and jump, and he was kind of caught in behind one, kept kind of nearly jumping into the back of him the whole time, and he just looked out of rhythm. And the ground at that meeting at Cheltenham every year is always, it's absolutely horrible ground. And I've always hated a horse that's getting hard race at that meeting every year at Cheltenham. And the only thing I'd be nervous about with Edwardstone is the ground he made up from the bend to the last fence was incredible. It was incredible, and I actually didn't really rate him that highly until I saw that turn of foot. He just got caught following Paul and basically forgot about the winner, lad in front. And when he realised he could beat Paul, he was gone out after the Gary Moore's horse. The ground he made up was absolutely incredible for a horse, 2 Mile Chaser. The only part I'd be a little bit nervous is that the ground was very testing on the day, and to me, he would have got a hard race in that, whereas Energy Me didn't get a hard race because he wasn't in the battle at all. He wasn't in the heat at all, even though he still appeared to have a squeak at the last in a slowly, steady run race. So he would want soft ground. That's the only thing. If the ground wasn't as soft as it was last year, that would dampen his chances, and I would give Edwardstone a better chance then on better ground. He's going to be ridden second, third, fourth, the way Alan King likes him ridden, down the inside, and he's going to follow Gary's horse. He won't be dropped out this time. He was only dropped out in Cheltenham because he fell early in Kempton, and they wanted to just hunt him round and ride him through him well. And he to me, he looks a fair horse.
He lost his confidence and thing. You don't see it rider, but like he was hard fit. Obviously, I'm assuming going to Kempton at Christmas. It was only 3 weeks between the run. Like it wasn't as if it was 3 months. So I don't buy the fact that he needed to run like the last day. That's a lot of.
I'd say he got caught. I'd say he got caught behind Energy Me the last.
Like he rode him handy in the Arkle last year. Now I'd say he'd ride him handy, and the race could change hugely as well if Blue Lord goes to the Ryanair as well. So it's.
Will you tell us? Will he?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'll tell you 2 weeks time maybe, but
okay.
At the moment now it's not decided obviously. So
in a nutshell, there you're kind of siding towards Edwardstone, yeah.
If the ground is nice, I'd fancy Edwardstone. If the ground is soft, I'll go with Energy Me.
Okay. So this half of the stage is kind of 2 votes for Edwardstone if the ground is decent, and 1 vote for Editor de Jeet. And this is very much the Energamine side of the stage, okay? So we're going to get a bit of audience participation now. Give a cheer if you fancy. I can't see. I would get you to put up your hand, but I actually can't see. Give a cheer if you fancy Energamine. Yeah. Give a cheer if you fancy Edwardstone. Yeah. Energamine is just in front. And give a cheer if you fancy Editor de Jeet. It's a tight finish, isn't it? It's a tight finish. The 3 of them are neck and neck. I think it's just about Energamine.
That lad had the lot on Editor Jeet anyway.
It's going to be an interesting champion chase at 3:30. David Casey, please dissect this bumper for us in Willie Mullins terms. Have you a pecking order?
Yeah, I'd say John Kiley's horse, a fair horse.
No, that's not what we want to hear. No. Right, forget A Dream to Share is in the race. Pretend this race is going to be run on a Thursday morning in Cloysutton. Who wins?
I haven't ridden any of them at home, believe it or not. Actually, I rode Fun last year before she ran. So, looking at him visually, I was there live. I wasn't there, sorry, live for It's For Me. He beat a horse. He beat the same horse Western Diego beat. To me, the horseman second only had a run round in Navan. He tried more in Nace, and I was very impressed with Western Diego. I thought the mare couldn't win Fun in Leopardstown. I thought she was half it. So what she did, obviously, she has to have huge ability. Ballyburn, I'd say there's a chance he won't run in the race.
Yeah, so I heard that was disappointing.
Chapeau de Soleil, I'd say, has huge ability. I think he should have won 10 lengths in Fairy House. I'd say he's definitely one not to be forgotten about. And Facile, I mean, I thought he was an absolute hunter chaser. He won a 2.5 mile bumper. I thought he wanted every yard of it in Leopardstown. I thought he'd no business going back to 2 mile the last day. Willie was convinced that he was improving and he was sharp enough. And he got beat by A Dream to Share, but I thought it was a huge run. He could improve again. If you put a gun to my head of ours, I would probably go, because I thought he was visually very impressive when I was there, was Western Diego.
Okay, that's interesting. Western Diego, currently 10-1 with Boyle Sports. And just on Ballyburn, the vibes I'm getting is that he'd probably skip the champion bumper.
Yeah, one of the owners would rather not go there and kind of wait for punchtime or something like that.
Disappointing. He's a good horse.
I think he is, yeah.
Disappointing. Jonny Dineen, you put up It's For Me on Up in the Ante at a very generous 7-2 at the time. 6 weeks ago, he's still 7-2. Some shrewdy you are.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, there's a few horses after coming into it, obviously, but I still think it's for me is a good horse. I think I thought he was very impressive today. He won in Navan, and there is a few on that list. So I definitely I don't actually fancy Western Diego myself. I wouldn't be gone on him. And look, what else is in this? The Dream to Share is a decent horse. All right, definitely. Like he's a horse with a lot of pace. He's a flat horse, I'd say. A ground is important. A Dream to Share, I'd imagine. I'd say the better the ground, the better he's going to be. But it's for me was a horse that apparently wasn't showing a lot at home, but he did show it in the point to point, and he did show it in the race course. Now you could say the form of the race is no good at the same time, but I thought he won with a swagger, and I still think he's the horse they have to beat.
Okay, so it's for me, for Jonny. It's for me, for you, Peter.
I think my picking it anyway. I think would be John Kiley's horse, A Dream to Share. JP bought him after his last run. Has loads of pace and looks a very straightforward horse. Probably one further down the line be Gordon's horse, Better Days Ahead. He started him off, I think, in Down Royal, and he got beat. He won impressively then the next day. But if I had to pick one, I think A Dream to Share. He's done it in Leopardstown after a long layoff, and John Kiley's very shrewd. I think he looks to be a very good bumper horse.
Dennis, Gordon could have a few here. Obviously, Better Days Ahead is in there, 11-1. Pure de Fil is 12-1. He's got No Time to something. No Time to Wait. King of Kingsfield. Any of those catch your eye?
Well, they're all potentially nice horses. I suppose Better Days Ahead is a nice horse. He's progressing anyway. Again, for me, he'd probably need to step up. King of Kingsfield, we all thought he was
a machine, apparently,
and only fell in a bumper. And but he's improved a lot since.
Yeah, he scoped dirty after the last day. Yeah.
Listen, I'd say a lot of them, they probably just need a bit of time and not getting hard time of it during the winter. And I think you'll see them better to a better effect on a bit of nicer ground. But
who do you think is the best of them?
I'd say No Time to Wait. I'd say is top class. And
he was good at Down Royal.
But I'd be a big fan of John Kiley's horse now as well. To be honest, I'd have to say. I'd say I think he's Ireland's best bumper horse. So
recently purchased a course by JP McManus. That is A Dream to Share, currently 6-1 with Boyle Sports. I think that's an industry best price on A Dream to Share. Robbie, it looks a decent bumper. Like a lot of these, I'd say if we're sitting on this stage next year, if Rob will have us back, I'd say we'll be talking about a good few of these as Supreme and Ballymore contenders.
Yeah, we could be, or we could be talking about none of them either.
True.
I think
one or the other.
I think A Dream to Share is looks very, very smart. I think ground is key to him, though. I think the fact they started him off in summer bumpers means he wants decent ground. And I think I was very, very impressed with him in Leopardstown's Dublin Racing Festival, coming off a break. I think he'd be very, very hard to beat. John Kiley's an unbelievably good trainer and knows what it takes, so I think he'd be hard to beat. And then obviously whichever one Patrick decides to ride out of Willie's is the one that's going to be his biggest danger.
What do you think Patrick will ride, David?
He was very sweet, and obviously it's for me after he won. And then obviously the mare, if the mare pitched up, I wouldn't be surprised if he rode her maybe.
He bred her, didn't he?
He bred her, yeah. So did the lads. But I don't know honestly what way he's going to go now. But I'd be as interested as anybody to see which way he goes.
Yeah. Tony, are you a bumper fan?
Oh yeah, I think this is a hell of a race. Just going to say to Robert there, is Henry de Bromwich going to run the Slade Steel? Is there any?
No, he's not going.
He's not going. No. He actually won well enough. I'm a bit disappointed to hear that horse, the Ronnie Bartlett horse, isn't going.
Don't talk to me. No,
I thought he won well despite the track being a kip the last day.
He's a good horse.
I'd agree with David. I thought Western Diego was impressive in Nace. I'd say the horse he beat was a much better version of himself. I'd have a few quid on him at a price, and I also thought Gordon's horse that won up at Dunroyal, No Time to Wait, was really impressive. He was entered at Nace, No Time to Wait. He was entered at Nace on Sunday, but not declared, so I presume maybe this is going to be the plan. He mightn't just have the head for Cheltenham yet. I just thought the first day they rode him for education, dropped them out, a bit more mature the last day. A very good prospect, but maybe not a champion bumper horse. But I think if he turns up, I'd have to have a few quid in him.
So that is No Time to Wait for you?
No Time to Wait, yeah.
Rob, for you, it is A Dream to Share?
Dream to Share, yeah.
Dennis, your Dream to Share?
Yeah.
Peter, your Dream to Share?
Yep.
And David, your Western Diego?
It's for me, yeah.
And it's for me. And after Ballyburn is out, I have no opinion. So, I know there's plenty of the panel that have fallen in love with Mighty Potter, okay? So we're going to come to Mighty Potter in a moment. But first, we're going to go to the man who rides out Appreciated every single morning of the week. And that is David Casey, the second biggest love of your life, Appreciated.
After you, Dave.
After me, I'd say I'm well down the pecking order. So after obviously your darling wife, Appreciated is a horse that you have a lot of time for, I know that. 2 questions. What went wrong at the Dublin Racing Festival? And the second question is, can you take down Mighty Potter here?
I think in the Dublin Racing Festival, he just looked like he wanted further. The gallop they went, I just thought he was flat out all the way. I thought he struggled. It looked like he wanted further, so the ground was probably a little bit drier than he would have appreciated.
Very good. I see what you did there.
See?
He's good, isn't he?
I do
Johnny
think
just
as well,
got it.
I think the race in Leopardstown, like he hasn't probably had a competitive run since he ran into Supreme. Like he went round on firm ground in Cheltenham last year and got injured in the champion hurdle. He had 2 hacks around this year. I'd say it was just a shock to his system. It was his first competitive run nearly in 2.5 years.
How good is he?
I think he's very good. It looked like he wanted further. Johnny will probably bring up the argument about Banbridge, that he Appreciate couldn't get by Dicer Dynamo. I think Banbridge was ridden, he never took part in the race, whereas Appreciate was up there all the way. And I think I'm looking at the betting here. Mighty Potter will run, El Fabiola won't run, Banbridge will run, Sir Gerhard won't run, James de Burley will struggle, Journey With Me won't run, Dicer Dynamo won't run. At 5-1, I think he's an absolute nap each way in the betting here.
Yes.
I can't see him out of the 3. I think he will win, but I think at 5-1, I think it's a nap each way.
So you genuinely think he'll beat Mighty Potter?
I do, yeah.
Okay. There you go. This is the man who rides him out every morning. Keep the faith and appreciate it, according to David Casey. Jonny Dineen, you're not quite the forgiving type. Are you going to forgive, appreciate it?
No, I thought he ran bad in the race in Leopardstown.
Well, he's just after telling you why he ran bad.
Well, I tell you why he ran bad as well. I don't know. I just don't think he's that good. That's why I think he ran bad.
You don't think he's that good?
No, not. He's 9 years of age. He's going nowhere in my eyes anyway, and I couldn't have him. I couldn't have him. Like, he was level with Dicer Dynamo, who was on fumes at the second last, and he still couldn't pass him. I thought he ran terrible. Now, Banbridge will definitely improve for the distance. Sorry, the distance. Banbridge will definitely improve for the distance. The one thing I would say, though I do fancy the favourite, again, if he gets digging the ground is quite important to Mighty Potter. The softer the ground, the better his chance. Banbridge, the better the ground, the better his chance. But on raw ability, I think Mighty Potter is definitely a better horse than Banbridge, because I do think if Mighty Potter ran in the 2-mile race that El Fabiola won, he wouldn't have been in the same state going under the far side as Banbridge was. No way. He definitely would have been able to travel a lot easier than Banbridge did. Banbridge is a fair horse now, right, on good ground. I think it's between the two of them, but I fancy Mighty Potter. As long as the ground is slow, but he's vulnerable if the ground is good.
If there's a proper dig in the ground, will you have a proper bet?
Yeah, he's
Mighty
max
Potter?
play if the ground
Max play?
if the ground is soft, yeah.
Max play.
Because Banbridge doesn't count if the ground is soft.
Okay. So we have a few comments and running here in the audience. So you're very much a Mighty Potter fan, and you give Appreciate It no chance.
None on any ground.
A million.
No. Well, not quite a million, but there's not
Half a million.
No, about a tenth of a million. I wouldn't fancy him anyway, to be honest.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Okay, Peter. Mighty Potter, like, he is beautiful to look at. He's a glorious horse. Is he going to win this?
Yeah, look at he looks rock solid. He's so consistent. Jumps the fence well. Look at, I couldn't see Appreciate getting near him. Banbridge, yeah, maybe, but I think Mighty Potter's out in his own in this race. He's different league to the rest of them.
Denis O'Regan, is Mighty Potter the best horse Gordon Elliott trains?
Well, he's certainly right up there, isn't he? So he looks a Gold Cup horse. You know, he really is a top class horse. I just have this. We really fancied him for the Supreme last year, and he just got ran out of it with the sharpness of the track. He was too immature for the whole thing. This year he's an altogether different prospect, and he looks.
Do you ride him
bomb-proof.
much? Do you ride him out?
I've actually schooled him before Davey came out of retirement, you know. So it's yeah, but yeah,
I've ruined it all for you.
No, sure. Look, we're well used to that, aren't we, Johnny? But yeah, he's very very good. Banbridge, I'd echo exactly what Johnny said. Now, he would want an ease on the ground. He's a big, strong, shouldery horse. Banbridge, to me, ran well at Leopardstown, and the trip will bring out the best in him. He's a very solid, sound jumper. So he's a real good each-way bet here at Banbridge. Real good each-way bet.
Okay.
But something with a bit more quality should beat him, and that should be Mighty Potter. And I was disappointed with Appreciated. There was a couple of horses that I saw Paul Townend riding at Leopardstown that I wouldn't normally see him beating 3 out. You know, a couple of horses, Blue Lord, Appreciated was one of them, and that they were beaten too far out to be true. And you know, you could give him a chance and the benefit of that, but it's Appreciated doesn't cut it for me here now.
Final question. If we're sitting on this stage next year and we're talking about the Gold Cup, and I was to tell you that one of Gordon Elliott's horses is favourite for the Gold Cup, would it be Jerry Colombe or Mighty Potter?
Oh, that's a tough question now.
It's a good question though, isn't it?
They're two totally, it is a good question, DJ, and they're two totally different types of horses. One is a real, they're just, this lad has all class, he's all speed. He could run in the Arkle kind of horse, you know.
Right.
But he just, there's a small little thing in my head with his jumping. He can throw in the odd, just the odd raw jump. He's a big unit.
Okay.
And I just think after the Cheltenham last year, the extra trip will just calm it all down a small bit for him. And
so the safest play is Banbridge each way?
For each way betting, he's the safest player, but Max, I'd be all, as Johnny says, Max play Mighty Potter.
Max play. Yeah. Puppy, have you a strong opinion on the Turners?
Yeah, I think it's a great race. Mighty Potter, I've been so impressed with him this season. Very good in Fairyhouse. Made a couple of mistakes, 4 out and 3 out, didn't lose his bottle, came down over the last 2, very good. Same at the Dublin Racing Festival, made a mistake down the back, but down to the next fence and jumped better for it. I think he's a 10 pound per stone better chase than he was a hurdler. Stepping up in trip is about the improvement in him. But I agree with David, I think Appreciated stepping up in trip is going to be a different prospect. He's a horse that was thought of as a danger to honeysuckle in a champion hurdle. Wasn't quite up to that standard, but stepping up in trip. Rightly or wrong, Casey, back in the day, as a novice, was he questioned about or talked about going for the 2 mile 5 novice hurdle rather than the
I thought he was a
Supreme?
3 miler at one stage, yeah.
Yeah, so I think stepping up in trip is going to bring around huge improvement in Appreciated, and I think he's a big danger to Mighty Potter. He's a class horse.
Yeah, I think that's 5-1 Appreciated. I think that's massive. Tony, what do you think?
Nothing much to add. I think Mighty Potter will win. Fancy him. Yeah, I think he's very fast horse actually. I think going down the 4.5 in trip from Leopardstown will suit him. As long as he doesn't clout off one, he should do the business.
And Appreciated, you're not?
No, I 9-year-old novice wouldn't like that. Kind of would like to see him just making the track a bit sooner, maybe, and not missing that second hurdle season.
Well, there's nothing we can do about that now, Tony.
No, I wouldn't like him. No.
Okay. Okay. So Mighty Potter, you're Mighty Potter, Rob. Mighty Potter, Mighty Potter, Mighty Potter, Mighty Potter, and myself and David Casey are Appreciated fans. Even though I think Mighty Potter could potentially be the real deal, but I think that 5-1 each way about Appreciated is a cracking price. Tony Keenan, I'm going to start with you here. The Shishkin conundrum. How likely is he to back up his performance in the Ascot Chase?
He might need to, looking at the rest of them that's in it, but I'd say it is a worry, 26 days. He had a lot of things to say, the hard race the last day. First time over that trip, coming off a break, history of kind of problems, or at least over the last year or so. Fast time, ridden out to the line as well, being Nico de Bineville. So I'd say there's a fair chance now he'll dip a wee bit. Will he dip enough to let some of these in? I don't know. He didn't back up off a hard race in Ascot off a longer break last season. That would worry me. He's probably not a horse that I'll really have a lot to do with. I'd kind of be looking to do something in the without market here. Wouldn't really be a Fury Road fan. I think he's a bit of a pig. And Blue Lord he just disappointed me the last day now, a flat out run. I think I'd like to back Janet without the favourite at place. I thought he was kind of half knot off in Gore the last day and still won. And he would have a very good record now, around 2.5 over fences. And he's kind of horse to be ridden to place too.
Okay, so that's Janadil potentially without the favourite, 13-2 currently with Boyle Sports in the win market. Robbie, Shishkin obviously brings a whole new dimension to the Ryanair chase. We had a banker in Allaho who's obviously out now, he's injured. Is Shishkin the next best thing?
He is. He's a very, very good horse. He's stepping up in trip would improve them. Would I back him at even money? No, I wouldn't. I don't think he's a backable price. I'd like to just watch him, and it's probably a race to watch. If I was having a sneaky each way bet, I'd have a little bet each way on French Dynamite. He wasn't far behind Hooked on Colours when Hooked on Colours came down to last in Thurles. If the ground is good, he has an each way chance. If it's not good ground, he's no chance. And Shishkin is in that boat as well. If the ground was to get on the slow side, then Shishkin is gone with the win. Forget about him.
Okay, so French Dynamite a 14-1 potentially each way for Robbie Power. Dennis, what do you like in the Ryanair?
Do you know, I'm a big fan of Fury Road there now, Tony. He's I know you think he's a
quote
pig, but
Mr.
he actually
Keenan,
has a bit of a win problem, but he is one of the best horses in Gordon Elliott's yard. He is absolutely top class horse, but he has always had a wind issue, and he's that's why he's always come up a small bit short. But he's very ground dependent, good ground, being out the best in him. He's run to a level this season. He's never ran to before.
He's quite consistent this season.
Yeah, and he's very consistent for a pig, you know. But like he's,
He always
Who
says
else pigs are getting a hard time.
he always says oink.
but he's listen. He was beaten ahead in an Albert Bartlett a couple of years ago by Monkfish and latest exhibition, and he was even a shade unlucky not to even get closer. But if the ground is good, he's got a good each way chance. To be honest, and. I was very disappointed. I was all about Blue Lord here now. I was all about Blue Lord. I thought he was some horse, and I couldn't believe what happened at the Dublin Race Festival with him. I hope he bounces back. I thought he was a very, very good horse. He'd have been nearly favoured for this, I thought. But anyway, it's up. David might be able to tell us a bit more about that.
We'll come to David in a second. Peter, Shishkin 11-10. Is this one that our audience can get stuck into?
Look at the step up in triple. Look, as everyone's seen, definitely improved him a good bit. He probably is plenty short at that, but I think he will win, to be honest. But I think Janet will be the each way one of the pick of the field after that. If Shishkin repeats his last run, it's definitely good enough to win that.
David, I'm intrigued to see what you're going to say about, or even hear about what you're going to say about Janadil. It's very rare you see horses come from last to first at Coram Park, and he did that, beat Hot on Colours. He's a horse, I've been at many a press morning in Willie's, and he's a horse that Willie always said lovely things about, even when he wasn't really a star. How good is Janadil?
He's a fair horse, yeah. Like he's not as good as Allaho, obviously, you know. And he probably just lacks a little bit. He has won a Grade 1 as a novice, so he's a very good horse in his own right, but to me, Shishkin on his best day would have him covered, you know. So I could see Janadil run a big race. He didn't not try in Gorn, but we didn't think he was fit enough to win. So
apparently, observers in the parade ring said he looked
fat.
He was like myself.
Yeah.
Which is not a positive.
The scale said he was fat at home, but so hopefully there's plenty of improvement to come from him. I think looking at the race, it's probably Shishkin's to lose, but there's so many question marks over everything in the race. Blue Lord obviously ran disappointing the last day. Janadil, he's coming back from a long break, his second run. Hot and Colours won't run, he's not good enough. Fakir Didaris, you couldn't have him after Ascot. Envoy Allen has ability, but geez, he ran a shocker, didn't he?
What's the story with Blue Lord? You've never been a massive fan of him, I don't think.
Me, I was a huge fan of him, but I always thought he wanted it further. I always thought he wanted a trip.
So why won't he win this then?
Well, he's coming off a disappointment. I'm saying he won't win, but I think Shishkin is probably a better horse.
Yeah.
On his best day. But I think there's so many question marks about so many horses in the race. It's a race I wouldn't have a bet in.
But would you prefer Blue Lord to Janadil from the Mullins camp?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Okay. Johnny, you're, as up in the anti-viewers will know, you were completely against Shishkin going into the Ascot Chase last week. You put your money where your mouth was. You got stung. Where are you now with Shishkin? What are you going to do with Shishkin in the Ryanair Chase?
I'll probably do nothing with him, to be honest, because if he turns up in the same form as he did last Saturday, I think he will win. But like as some of the guys said, there's 26 days. It's not a lot. like his horse with probably plenty of issues. Will he really reproduce what he did on Saturday? Who knows? But if you took him out of the race, I think it's wide open. Every horse, they're all much of a muchness. You know what I'm saying? Like you could back something each way, but you could easily back, if Shishkin runs the farm, you could easily pick one that mightn't even be placed. That's the way I look at it. Look, I can't back him after being against him because you just can't turn around. I couldn't turn around and back him now the next day and he fought.
Why not though?
When you're anti a horse, you kind of stay anti him, I think, sometimes. There's always in the back of your mind that he's going to throw in the stinker. I'm not so sure whether he will or he won't. I wouldn't have a clue whether he can back up. But some horses, even when they win easy, they're still not able to back. They appear to win easy, and he did win easy, but they do put in like big efforts to win at the same time. Like it's not much of a break. 26 days, it's not a lot. And if you put me up against the wall, I think he won't back it up. But I'm not going to bet in the race at the same time now.
And put it this way: if he wasn't in the race, what's the value there?
The value is possibly Fury Road, maybe. Like if you force me to pick one without Shishkin, I'd go Fury Road, I think.
Do you hear that, Tony?
Oh, I do, but sure, look, it's only an opinion.
That's it, yeah, exactly. That's it.
That is the Ryanair chase. So we'll go across the board with selections. Tony?
Janadil without.
Yeah, Janadil for me. Puppy?
I think Shishkin will follow up his Ascot win.
Dennis?
Fury Road each way.
Peter?
Janadil each way.
David?
Yeah, I think it's Shishkin's to lose.
You're going with the whole boy band thing there.
I'll go Fury Road each way. Just
Okay, Fury Road for Johnny. That is the Ryanair chase. Jonny Dineen, this is your strongest fancy of the week. Take it away.
Yeah, I fancy Home by the Lee here. I fancy it really, really strong. I do. I didn't actually realise Blazing Cal was in trouble, but I do even let him in the race. The only three that I could see winning are Blazing Cal, T-Hupo if the ground was slow, and Home by the Lee. Wouldn't give anything else in Nertley in the race anyway. And Home by the Lee is nowhere near ground dependent. He's improving. He's the right age. He's 8 years of age. He's bang on the button. This is his year for it. And I can see him winning. And I wouldn't be afraid of Blazing Cal either, even if he did stay in the race. But like Home by the Lee, if he was 5-1, now he'd be less now if your man out. But I would have considered him a knocking each way bet at 5-1. He's guaranteed to get your money back.
I just checked there. He's back in now. He's been backed again in the
what
last.
price is he now?
I think he's 4 point something now.
So he's probably okay. So,
yeah.
but he still has to. I think the race he won, there was a slight overreaction to the race he won in Navan Blazing Cal, because most of the horses in this race would have won that race at the same time. No, he did win well, and he won off a break, but he's the bounce factor too, and he's got to be good enough as well at the same time.
Okay, you're pretty strong on Home by the Lee.
I fancy Home by the Lee very strongly.
Robbie Power, what do you fancy in the Stayers hurdle?
Yeah, I think Tony's safe enough. I don't think he'll die in that hill anyway. Tiapu for me.
You've obviously ridden him plenty.
Yeah, but he's crying out for this step up in trip. Champion hurdle last year on quick ground. He was taken off his feet. I don't think he has to have very soft ground. I think once it's not quick, he'll be fine. And he's a class horse. He's got proper form over 2 mile. Grade 2 form over 2 mile. Home by the Lee wouldn't be able to lie up in a 2 mile race. And he's proven his stamina. I think he's a different gravy to the rest of these. I think
you were giving him a big chance going into last year's champion hurdle, weren't you?
I was, and I honestly still think if the champion hurdle was on the Wednesday when the ground was very soft, he'd have run well. He wouldn't have won, but he'd have been in the first 3 or 4. I just think on quick ground last year he was taken off his feet, and that was it. He missed the third last, and it was lights out. So, I just think stepped up 3 miles. You're going to see could be a very, very good stayer for the next few years.
Okay, so 2 votes for Tihupu from the end of the stage. Dennis, what do you like in the Stayers hurdle?
Yeah, I'd echo the lads' on Tiahupu, but he's very ground dependent. I think he wants it like a bog, and I've ridden him a lot of work, and he is a class horse, but he definitely wants very, very soft ground. And if the ground isn't soft,
one is right and one is wrong.
Look, if the ground.
He won a juvenile on yielding ground.
He didn't. He won it on heavy in Ferios. He did.
He didn't. He won on yielding ground was the official.
Tony, sit in between them there, will you?
Well, I don't know. Look, I hope he runs well. I think he travels very well, and he's a class horse for the race. I like a stayer to be just slightly behind it, slightly off it, and I'd kind of go with Home by the Lee, to be honest. I think he's already won a Grade 1. He's a very, very good horse, and he's always threatened to be a good horse as well. and he only just does enough. He's going to ride him from the front end, so Flooring Porter's not going to get an easy lead this time. So he's going to have it, and you've seen a lot of stairs hurdle horses winning from the front now, or very close to the pace. Tiahupu, he'll definitely have the class, and he'll take him there, I wouldn't ride off Blazing Cal now. To me, he does look a very good horse, but that would be a worry.
No, he's back in now. It's okay.
Is he back in? Is
yeah,
he?
Back in.
That's someone's taking the piss. But he does look a very good horse. He's actually won, I think, is it twice or three times at Cheltenham already. He's very good course form, and so it'd be very hard to not see him in the mix, wouldn't it? Blazing Cal. But if you nailed me down, I think Home by the Lee is the one for me.
And of course, you rode the ultimate stairs hurdle horse who was behind the bridle in English Reaver. He was your perfect stairs hurdle horse, wasn't he?
He was, because he had the class, but he relaxed through the whole race. He slept through the whole race, and then he used to come alive in the latter stages. That'd be a worry for me with Tiahupu, that he will travel really well the whole way, and that I think that might find him out in the end. And Puppy
he was
obviously
off the
doesn't
bride
like
lower
the
3
sound.
mile going down the back straight and Gordon the last day. Russell was squeezing him along.
Yeah, but I suppose it's only a matter of opinions, isn't it?
Peter, stairs hurdle, Blazing Cal 9-4 favourite currently. Tiahupu 3-1. What do you like?
I think Home by the Lee is the one I pick. I think he's improving all year. Improved even from Navan, he was very much behind the bridle, and then he stepped up to Leopardstown. But Tiahupu, I know they step up and trip, but I think the Galmai this year, I don't think it was anyway a strong race at all. I think what he bet that day was very little. He probably ran better, in my opinion, against Honeysuckle in Fairy House. But no, I think Home by the Lee, he's very straightforward, and as Denis says, he settles well and really stays at it. I think Cheltenham is made for him.
Lovely stuff, Home by the Lee. David, what price is it? Is it even money each of two, whether Classical Dream runs or not, or do you think he'll definitely run?
I'd say there's a big chance he'll run, yeah.
Okay. Can he win it?
Yeah, at least he had a little issue after Fairy House, missed a bit of time, and there's an argument to say that he might be a little bit sharp, but he galloped in the corridor today. He galloped really well. Paul was happy with him. He'll have another couple of gallops, so he'll go, and I think he could run a big race. But you just wonder where he might be just a fraction short. I don't have a strong opinion in the race. The one I'd go for each way, because I think she'll run is Mary's Rock. I think she'll run the race, and I think she'll be definitely in the mix somewhere.
Okay, that's interesting. Rob, you rode plenty for Jessica Harrington over the years. I thought Ashdale Bob could run well. I'm not saying he'll win, but I thought he could be placed.
No, I think he just falls a bit shy of grade 1 level. I think he was only just beaten by Classical Dream in Punchestown last year in a slowly run race. I think a strongly run stairs hurdle. I'm not sure he really stays 3 mile either. So
you rode him in Punchestown last year,
yeah,
second to Classical Dream.
Second to Classical Dream in a steadily run race. Yeah, he'll be dropped in, ridden conservatively. He has a chance of sneaking a place.
Okay, there you go. Stairs hurdle. So down the line, Tony Keenan is Tiahupu, Robbie Power is Tiahupu, Denis O'Regan is Home by the Lee, Peter Fahey is Home by the Lee, Jonny Dineen is Home by the Lee, and David, your Classical Dream if he runs. Sorry, Mary's Rock each way for David if she runs in the stairs hurdle. David Casey, is the market right here? Are they in the right order? 1 Lossiemouth, 2 Blood Destiny, 3 Gallimarceau. Talk to us about the Willie Mullins contenders in the Triumph Hurdle.
Yeah, I'd say the market is right, because Lossiemouth should have beat Gallimarceau the last day. She'd be a dual Group 1 winner, Grade 1 winner if she did. So she probably deserves to be favourite, and Gallimarceau deserves to be probably behind her. I think Blood Destiny will win. I think he's a very good horse. I think he improved hugely from his first run to his second run. I think if he improves as much from his second run to Cheltenham, we deliberately didn't bring him to Leopardstown. He jumps, he stays, he's got pace. I think he'll take a huge amount of beating.
Okay, that is one of the most informative things you'll hear tonight. So if you're writing stuff down, David Casey fancies Blood Destiny in the Triumph Hurdle. And your colleague on your Cheltenham show, Tony Keenan, Barry Geraghty, has always been very sweet on Blood Destiny. See, I do watch the show. Are you a Blood Destiny fan?
You listen to his parts anyway. Oh no, I'd be a big fan. I think Blood Destiny will win as well. Yeah, I'd be a fan of him. I'd absolutely respect Lossiemouth. I do think she's been winning a lot of steadily run races. I think he'll give her something different. because I think he'll make it a bit of a test. He might be a little bit more of a long-term prospect than a real now horse, but just been very, very impressed. And the Cork maiden hurdle form is brilliant. And Fairy House, look, funny race, polite way of putting it, but he still was visually very, very good. Just visually, I've liked him so far, and I think he'll win it.
So 2 votes for Blood Destiny. Could Paul Townend ride Blood Destiny?
It's not beyond the bounds of possibility, yeah.
Okay.
It'd be hard to get off a grade 1 horse. The grade
Okay.
1 winner, I suppose, but
Jonny Dineen. Lossiemouth is 7-4 favourite. Blood Destiny is 3-1. What camp are you in?
Look, I don't have a huge opinion, but listen to David there. Like, if he fancies Blood Destiny, you have to respect that stuff. They know more about the horse than I do. The horse I would be against was the 3rd favourite. I think Lossiemouth will beat Gala Marceau anyway, whatever about anything else. Look, if they fancy Blood Destiny over Lossiemouth, you'd probably have to go that way then in the end, you know, that kind of way.
Yeah, you're a big believer in stables getting it right.
Yeah, well, I mean, they should know more than fellas like me talking through your bum, you know what I mean? So, I like, you know.
Never did I think.
But look, if the guys inside.
Never did I think you'd ever say bum bum.
Yeah, but the guys in the yard know more about the horses than me. They're seeing them every day of the week. I'm only looking at it from the out. Like, on farm, Blood Destiny is it doesn't have the farm to win it, but if they rate him better than Lossiemouth, he's halfway home.
Okay. So 3-1 at the moment, Blood Destiny. A lot of love for Blood Destiny. Peter, what do you like in the Triumph Hurdle?
Look, in my opinion, it's a hard one to call. Look, it's a strange one that Paul didn't ride Lossiemouth first time out, which probably would suggest, I don't know, look at it, he wasn't showing much early on, but Blood Destiny, look at if David's saying, I actually thought he was the one I'd fancy for it, and definitely listening to David, it's the one they think, but look, it's definitely Willie's race for the winning, in my opinion, yeah.
Okay, so another vote kind of for Blood Destiny, a 3-1 for Peter. Well, lads, what do you think on the couch over there? Dennis?
Yeah, I finished 3rd behind Blood Destiny in Cork, and I thought it was a very hugely taken performance. I fancied him for the Triumph there and then, and I think he was even better in Fairy House, but I don't believe he's been getting the hard sort of races that Lossiemouth and Gala Marceau have got. And I think Lossiemouth, she's obviously very good, but pacey and on flat tracks. I like, you know, Cheltenham, I think might expose.
Tiny too.
Yeah, might expose her a small
Very
bit.
small.
yeah, she's not big. No, she did win an odd tie in soft ground, so.
Yeah, no, it's not the
track
ground.
doesn't worry me about her, but
It's
listen,
more
she's a very, very good horse. I just think my reason, your man going to Cork, Blood Destiny, was working very average. Thought he was only an ordinary horse, and to do what he did in Cork, and then he was kind of working pretty well going to Fairy House. And I know the 9 behind him were only getting a mark for the fucking boodles, but just on the day he was very impressive, I thought, what he did. And I just think if he can improve as much from there as he did from his first or his second run, I think the world's his oyster.
I like Comfort Zone as well. Joseph.
It's hardy, isn't he?
Well, he's done it at the track, and it's horses for courses and that. You know, he won there at the last meeting, and I thought he won kind of snug enough.
Yeah, and the second horse that day, a scriptwriter who is favourite for the Adonis at Kempton tomorrow. Right, Rob, you have the final say on the Triumph Hurdle.
I agree with David.
Jennings or Casey?
Well, always Casey.
You didn't even have to answer that.
Only for Tony said Cork there a minute ago, I wouldn't have known where Blood Destiny won his race. I have no opinion on the juveniles. I think Willie win the race, and if Casey says he'll win with Blood Destiny, he'll win with Blood Destiny.
Okay, so we have a pretty unanimous vote on the panel for Blood Destiny in the JCB Triumph Hurdle. So you're starting your Friday, you're starting Gold Cup Day with a 3-1 winner with Boyle Sports. It is Blood Destiny. Rob, Albert Bartlett. Hidden Valley Lake, obviously, and Monty Star are both trained by Henry de Bromhead. Were you surprised that Monty Star beat Hidden Valley Lake?
Yeah, we were a little bit, but I was in Clonmel that day and going past the winning post with a circuit to go. Hidden Valley Lake was never comfortable. His ears were flat back. He was hating the ground. It was real tacky, horrible ground that day. I think you'll see a better horse in the Albert Bartlett on better ground, stiff track. He's an each way chance. I think 3-car Bragg is going to take a lot of beating in this race. I think 3 miles, he's been crying out for it all season. I think he's going to improve a hell of a lot for it. He won nicely over 2.5 in Fairy House the last day. Freshen him up, stepping up to 3 miles. He's got plenty of experience because he ran plenty before Christmas. I think he's the horse that everyone has to beat in this race.
That is 3-car Bragg at 8-1 with Boyle Sports. Dennis, Albert Bartlett.
Yeah, 3-car Bragg.
3-car Bragg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing more to add. That's just it.
Well,
3-car
Hidden
Bragg.
Valley Lake has an each way chance.
Who?
Hidden Valley Lake.
Hidden Valley Lake. Yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose I wouldn't. I don't. I'm not sure about the rest of them. Embassy Gardens, Sandor Claudines has loads of chances. Favor de
It's a bit
Chabot,
harsh.
he's been grand. If the ground was soft, look, if the ground was soft, that would bring him into play. But if it wasn't soft, it still wouldn't affect 3-car Bragg, but it would affect him.
Okay.
So, no, I think he's very good. 3-car Bragg, yeah.
3-car Bragg for Denis O'Regan. Peter.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with the lads. I think 3-car Bragg, he's crying out for 3 miles. The last day when he ran in Fairy House, he made the running and he didn't enjoy it at all. He can drop in that race. I think he's going to be a very good stayer, even a better horse next year. But I think he's good enough to win that.
Excellent. David, Tony Keenan is not a fan of Embassy Gardens. Can you counter with your Embassy Gardens opinion?
Yeah, listen, he won a nothing race the last day, but I think it was just the way he travelled in the race. I think the step up to 3 miles, like he's been crying out for it all along. I think he's so much in his comfort zone. That's why I think the race will suit him. I agree. I think 3-car Bragg is probably the horse to beat. He's had plenty of running, and that used to be the way. That used to be the type of horse you used to be looking for. This race horse with plenty of runs and whatever. Whereas the only thing is, the last couple of years, probably the more classier horses have come to the fore. Corber's Cross. If you fancy him at 8-1, I think you have to give Seabank Bistro a chance at twice the price, 18-1 here. Like he's only a couple of lengths behind him in Limerick, and he gave him £5, which he won't be probably giving him in Cheltenham, you know. So and the step up and trip will definitely suit him. So he could run well. He was 4th in the bumper last year, staying on. So it's an open race. It's not one I have a strong opinion on. I'd probably say 3-car Bragg is probably the one to beat.
Yeah, and Seabank Bistro tipped up by Tom Siegel in the Racing Post, along with Favori de Champtou. Jonny, Albert Bartlett, your thoughts?
Look, I fancy 3-car Bragg, but I think he's a very ground-dependent horse. I think the heavier the ground, the better chance. And on good ground, I wouldn't back him, to be honest.
And who would you back on good ground?
On good ground, I'd have a small bet, and let's be clear about it each way, maybe.
Okay. Big price. What price is he?
He's about 33, I think. 25 anyway, yeah.
Okay, let's be clear about it. Trained by Gavin Cromwell in the Albert Bartlett. So, Tony, just to recap then, you were tentatively going for
Favori de Champtou.
Favori de Champtou. Rob?
3-car Bragg.
3-car Bragg. 3-car Bragg. 3-car Bragg / Seabank Bistro. And
I'd go with 3-car Bragg.
3-car Bragg. And I am a Sandor Clegane fan in the Albert Bartlett. 6-4 Galloping the Champs.
Great price.
Great price.
Great price.
Right, tell everybody here in Dunamore why he's going to win the Cheltenham Gold Cup.
Because he's the best horse in the race.
Give us a bit more than that, go on.
Usually what happens. Oh, I think he's got everything. I think he's got a lot of class. He's got pace. He's got stamina. Jumps very well. I think he's the best horse in the race. I think he's doing everything right, and I think he'll improve hugely from his last run. And yeah, I don't see the one the danger I do look at is a Plutard, last year's winner. I think he's the best of the rest. But obviously you're taking it on chance that he's coming off a very bad run, but and only the one run. So but I think I look at the rest of me. He'll beat them all right.
If Galloping the Champ runs his race, jumps well, travels well, how shocked would you be if a horse like Statler beat him?
I'd be amazed.
Amazed. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Can't say fairer than that. Robbie Power at Plutard, give us the update. How is he? Obviously, we've only seen him once this year. Pulled up in the Betfair Chase. If he returns to last year's form, he was spectacular in the race, won by 15 lengths. What at Plutard can we expect in this year's Gold Cup?
Well, hopefully the one that turned up last year. He's in very good form at home. He seems very good. Everyone's very happy with him. He schooled last Monday, schooled very, very well. Rachel was bouncing when she got off him. So, yeah, look, he seems in good form. His form around Cheltenham is top class. And I think he's got a big chance again. But Galloping the Champ is a major stumbling block. He's a very, very good horse, and it's so unusual to see a horse that was so forward going last year and so exuberant over fences to the one now that's actually gone half behind the bridle, which you want for a Gold Cup horse. There was times watching Leopardstown at the Dublin Racing Fest, you were wondering how well is Paul going. And then when he jumped the second last turn and gave him a kick in the belly, he took off. I think he was halfway down, nearly down the back straight before he got pulled up after the race. You know, it was he's a hell of a good horse, and he's going to be very, very hard to beat. But if Applutard is back, and it's an if for everyone, we don't know. He seems good at home, but we don't know until we go there how good he is. But if he is back to his best like he was last year, he'd be very, very hard to beat.
You are obviously, like the rest of us, shocked with how he ran it at Haydock.
Yeah, he was, because he was in good form going over and everything was going right. But you knew straight away in Haydock when he jumped off that he wasn't going. His bloods came back wrong. He'd taken an allergic reaction to something, what we don't know. But it's something he could have picked up anywhere on the boat or anything going over. That's just the risk that can happen when you travel. So everything else seems good. Everything's going well at the moment. But I still do think, I'd be amazed if anything outside the two of them wins the Gold Cup. But I do think that Manella Indo's too big a price at 16-1 each way in the Gold Cup. I think he's way too big a price. He's been first and second in the last 2 Gold Cups. Had a
Distant second now.
different campaign, but he was still in front of the rest of them. So that's Protector at, I can't remember what else was in the Gold Cup, but he was distant second to a very good horse. And there's 2 horses that can win this Gold Cup, and I think he'll be in the first 3 again.
Am I right in saying, well, I am right in saying, because Henry Ramay told me this is completely your doing with Manila Indo. You said, don't run him before Christmas, run him at Tramore on New Year's Day, and then bring him fresh to the Gold Cup. Am I right?
Yeah.
Is your neck on the line here?
It is on the line. Well, it's not, because he won in Tramore, so I'm off the chopping
Job
block. No, but he'd never shown any form post-Christmas before, and he's getting a bit older. Pre-Christmas, should I say. So we had to try something different.
Yeah.
He's getting a bit older, keep him fresh, and he always, for whatever reason it is, I don't know, but every time he steps off that lorry in Cheltenham, he just grows 6 feet. You know, he's a different horse when he arrives over there. So
do you think he's as good now as he was this time last year?
Well, I think he's better. He got into the race with better preparation. He's in better form. Last year I rode him in the Irish Gold Cup, and it was a run after a bad run in the King George, so he wasn't really, we're riding him to run well. He finished second, well beaten by Conflated. This year he's going in after winning a race, and he's in good form and being trained with great preparation for it.
Who will ride him?
I'm not sure yet.
That's such a lie.
Truthfully, it's not, because...
what price will you lay me, Darragh O'Keefe?
What price will I lay you?
Yeah.
I'll give you 100-1. He won't ride him.
Oh, right. Oh, beat you. So you do know. So you do know. See, I was only teasing you in. Okay. So okay.
It's still up in the air.
It's up in the air. Okay.
Air, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So a big shout out to Manila Indo from Robbie Power. 40-1 on the screen, 16-1 in the sheets. We'll go with the sheets. Denis, what do you like in the Gold Cup?
Listen, I echo nearly everything Robbie said there. It's very hard to take away from the first 2 in the betting. I'd like to see a Plutard. I've done it a bit more. I feel the Gold Cup has left an effect on him from last year. It's very hard to keep coming back, and that horse has been winning at the Cheltenham Festival since the novice handicap was there. You know, he's been producing a lot at the top level for a long period of time. So I think something else might, if he turned up, yeah, obviously, but there's a bigger chance that he mightn't, in my view. And I'd give Noble Yates a chance, because I thought he ran a nice race in the Cotswold Chase just gone. I think he didn't get into a battle with the first 2, who I wouldn't give any chance to in a Gold Cup. But I thought Noble Yates, because it was an afterthought, he was supposed to go to Lingfield. That was cancelled, or he couldn't run. So they had to run him there. And I thought Sean Bowen, he didn't get a hard race, and I thought it was a nice run coming into the Gold Cup. So I would give him a good, solid each-way chance.
7-1.
Yeah, Noble Yates, and he's a Grand National winner. He probably one of the best Grand Nationals run for a few years. And he's a quality class horse, real class horse. He stays going, and there is question marks over some of the stamina in amongst some of this lot here now, and especially Conflated. So for me, he's a solid each-way bet behind Gallop and Deschamps, and I go with Robbie there. Maybe Manila Indo will be placed again, because very hard thing to win in that race in Tramore, that type of horse, and he still did it. So he still has that bit of life in him. I like him. I think he'll be placed. Yeah.
Okay, so 2 each-way shouts. Noble Yates 7-1, and Manila Indo at 16-1 for Denis O'Regan. Peter, Gold Cup. Tell me more.
There's not much more to say, I suppose. Just it's Gallop and Champ. I think he was very good in Leopardstown. Didn't go over quick, and he stayed ahead really well. And as the lad said, it was down the back straight again to get him pulled up. There's no question, I'd say, with stamina or anything with him ground, and I think he's rock solid for it.
Okay, Gallop and the Champs. Tony Keenan, where do you stand on Gallop and the Champs?
I'd say he's the most potential. I think he's a skinny enough price. I don't really like Fury Roads. A Fury Road is his form, and kind of what David is saying about Statler there. That Leopardstown race mightn't amount to much now. I think they've a brilliant job training him this year to settle him, as Robbie has said. I think that's been magic, and he may well go and win it well. But at the price, I'd be looking elsewhere. I'm actually kind of fancying the two English horses here. I know you
don't say it. Don't say it.
It's
Protectorate.
The two ground dependent. If it's decent ground, and I do want to hear what Paul Nichols was saying to you two lads last week when I'm finished. But if I think it was decent ground, I'd definitely be back in Braveman's game. I thought he was deadly in Campton. Yeah. And this horse that he beat in second was a really well touted horse, and I think he would have been well. He was going to be well on top of him if he'd have stood up.
Long press.
Long press. 15 or 16 lengths back to the third. I thought he looked like he wanted further there. And not too often you get the chance to back a kind of an impressive King George winner on a Gold Cup at 8-1 that has only been beaten once over fences when he was over the top. So I'd be having a few quid on him.
There were a couple of interesting things on Braveman's game. Myself and Johnny were over with Paul Nichols last week, and Johnny will tell you more. But I thought one interesting thing he said is how different a horse he is this year. His gallop, have you ever seen his gallop? It's extraordinary how steep the gallop is. But he said, like, originally he would struggle on his third time up the gallop. Now he said he just absolutely flies up the gallop on his third run. He thinks he's grown up, and he was now he is a very positive trainer, isn't he, Johnny? But he was extremely positive on Braveman's game, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a positive man, is right. Yeah, absolutely. No, he's a good character now, to be fair. Like, I don't, first time I ever met him, but look, he is a positive. He doesn't do negativity, is right. Braveman's game, I think he only has a chance. That's all myself. I don't really look. He's some sort of a chance. The favourite's the one to beat, but it's tight enough price, I think. Anyway, at 6-4.
Well, you've said all season he won't win the Gold Cup.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's 6-4 again, so it's 4-6 to lose. So, like the odds are in my favour if I'm saying he won't win the Gold Cup. He is odds on to lose it at the same time. I think he's a very classy horse. I would still be wondering about him getting from the last fence home if it comes to a real dogfight. And the Gold Cup invariably comes to a real dogfight. And if there is one horse there at the last, if Noble Yates is still hanging around at the last, I'd expect him to get up the hill stronger than anything in the race. Now, if he's not there, he can't win it. But he's a horse that I'd go Noble Yates each way.
He's in the middle of telling you. Noble Yates each way.
I think so. Yeah, I think he's a horse that likes a battle, and if he gets into a struggle with horses, I could see him beating horses with more ability. Put it that way to you.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Final answers now, Tony.
Yeah,
if you're your Braveman's game.
Looking at the forecast now, Braveman's game.
Braveman's game. Rob, your Manila Indo each way at the prices?
I think Manila Indo is a good each way, better at that price. Gallop and the Champ, I think, is going to be very hard to beat.
Dennis?
I'm a Noble Yates each way, man, anyway. Yeah.
Peter, you're Gallop and the Champs.
Yeah.
Obviously, David is Gallop and the Champs, and Johnny is
I'll
Noble
go
Yates.
Noble Yates each way, yeah.
And I am a Gallop and the Champs man. How many is fancy Gallop and the Champs? Yeah. That was a that is the Cheltenham Gold Cup.
Get in on the action with epic offers from Boyle Sports on every race, every day of the Cheltenham Festival. Epic Cheltenham with Boyle Sports. It's time to switch.